Welcome, everybody, to the CrossFire podcast. Tonight's going to be a great show tonight. Nights like tonight are the reason that I get excited to do the show. Very good friend of mine tonight, Jay Hooft is on tonight. And Jay, I wanted to actually give you the true intro, and I can't do you. It's going to be JKB back again on CrossFire. Welcome to the show, bro. You crack me up every time you get an intro in like that. What's up?
What's going on?
Not much.
Just woke up.
He sounds
literally just for this.
It's like, welcome to Ambient Podcast.
Hey, when Dreer's making that comment, come on.
my whole point is this: like, I'm the one that picked 6 p.m. Eastern, and I think this could have been one of the worst times. It's running home from work, right? Getting everything set up, trying to get notes and everything out to everybody, and then trying to just organize everything and get everyone in the room. It's a clutter for me. So, Jay, I'm actually in the same coma that you're in. It's just that I'm on an adrenaline kick at this point. So whatever that may be. Okay. Pure lies. That's what this show is built on. You're in good company. We also have the infamous Crap Gamer who's here today. Crap, hey, thanks for joining us.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy to be here.
Hey, that's Crap's new one out.
Hell yeah, dude! I got to do my hot jocking, dude. That's what I do.
You know, it's funny. We're gonna call you Shooter real soon, bro. I like that.
Hell yeah.
Shooter McCrappin.
Southbound and down from the West Coast. What's up, bro? How you doing tonight?
Oh, you know, beautiful. Loving this Southern California weather, sunshine.
Yeah, it must be nice, real nice. Katy Perry just floating around in roller skates with a small top and a small bottom pair, right?
Hell yeah, and the whipped cream.
Yeah, naturally. That's that California dreaming.
That's what it do.
Sorry, but yeah, exactly. I love it. You plugged that in there. Me and Jay don't know what that is. We have Jay, you from Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah, Toronto and New York. Those are just daydreams for us. And then we've got my buddy from down. I'm calling it down under because I'll never get anyone on the show from Australia. We got our buddy Dreyer from South Africa. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Nothing much. Just boring all my followers with the local elections. That's all.
Down under. How you doing today?
That's how.
No, we don't sound like that. That's Australia.
Jay, I said to Dreyer one time, what did I say to you? I said, what is it you guys call South Africa? I said, because, it's down under, and he goes, without even pausing, he goes, hell. So it was probably one of the best one-liners we've had on the show, bro. I appreciate it. XBot 448, not to be confused with 844. What's up, buddy? How are you tonight?
Don't get it twisted.
Another one?
What's going on, man? Yo, you guys know I'm pumped for CrossFire. I've been pumped since about like 12:01, a minute past midnight. I can't wait to do this. Come on, guys, let's go.
Absolutely. And then the man, the myth, the guy with 1 million gamer score, Rand Al Crossfire. What's up, buddy? How are you tonight?
Well, I was doing pretty good until I read that guy's comment about my receding hairline, and now I'm not doing so well. Even though Crap made a joke about that during E3. Fuck you, Crap.
Why do you look at the hair club for men?
It was the role for haircut for men. It's just like we're not also the client. We're also the president.
Follow challenged. Don't worry, I'm sure.
Listen, I ask this all the time, and Jay, this will be a question for you later. We'll ask, why read the comment section? Like, why do you? People always say, like, Xbot says every episode he has of anything, he's like, and please make sure you comment. I want to read what you have to say. I actually end my videos with, please don't comment. I'm not reading that shit because it's literally and I understand people say, Mooch, why would you say something like that? That's what you want your fans to reply to. No, reply to me on Twitter. Talk to me on Twitter. I'm very open about talking on there because in the comment section. Could you imagine if you handed somebody who had a podcast who was standing at the edge of a bridge thinking to jump? You're like, well, read your comment section first. He wouldn't. I mean, you get 2 lines in and you'd hear Geronimo. I mean, it's a death sentence to read that comment section. It's a bunch of Neanderthals.
Well, Mooch, in my defense, the stables haven't fully opened up to my channel yet. There's a couple that dribble in, but man, it's still kind of safe there.
Yeah, I see. Well, don't worry. Me and Crap are laying.
Mooch was because Crap has a tendency to make incendiary headlines, right?
Yes, yeah.
Which we don't even talk about on the show because and I wanted to see just who actually listens to the podcast in the comments and who doesn't. Because what was the headline for last one? Crap. Xbox One S makes PS4 obscure or some shit.
Obscure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which I don't think we even
Obsolete and
mentioned
irrelevant.
Sony for the most part. At least
Yeah.
I didn't. Maybe Mooch did. But I mean, hell, we talked about fucking the size of your TV for 30 minutes. I mean, shit.
Well, listen. There's certain times. I mean, it's a live show. Okay, there's a lot of oopses. You can even hear it. If anybody wants to go back and listen to the introductions, I had 3 or 4 oopses just because I literally sit down 5 minutes before we hit live. But I wanted to talk about some things that were just like common topics that were going on Twitter. And the other day we were talking about like TV sizes. And I know a lot of people like to be competitive, and we're not going to go down a 45-minute there, but I do have a question. Jay, what screen size do you use for your gaming pleasures, if you will?
I like 42.
Okay. All right, and you're right there with Crap. That's what Crap said. He said that's like in between the competitive 24 to 33, but it's not this monstrous projection screen that kind of ruins your gaming experience, some people will say.
Well, I've got a 42 and a 32. And my since I got the Xbox S, everyone's gonna love this. I downgraded the PS4 to the 32 and put the 4K on the big one.
Oh.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Jay. We all thank you.
Salute to you on that one.
Redmond just hung your YouTube channel flag.
Phil's giving me a
sad.
hand job right now.
Well, that leads us right into what I wanted to get into. Jay, first of all, congratulations. Great review on the Xbox One S. I like how you teased the shit out of me for a week and the fact that you had it before I could get my hands on it. So congratulations to that.
I watched that one.
Very good, very good. Jay, always entertaining. Jay, what was your take, though? I mean, can you get a little bit and tell the audience what your experiences were? There were some pros, there were some cons. What is it you liked about getting this new piece of hardware, and what kind of let you down?
Nothing let me down. I mean, the worst thing about it is the finish on it. You can get it dirty really, really quickly.
Okay.
That's about it. So if you're handling it, you go to your friend's house, you're bringing it in a knapsack, whatever the hell you're doing, you gotta whatever. It's gonna get dirty quickly unless you cover it up. That's it. That literally is it.
What's your recommendation though, Jay? The anti thing that's mostly said online and on YouTube, whether it be the media or even just YouTube channels, is you don't need this S if you don't have a 4K television or if your plans are to buy a Scorpio in 15 months. Where do you stand in that world?
I don't really agree with that either. I love new consoles in general. So when we get an upgrade of something that, Xbox One, my launch console, my Kinect broke, my controller broke on it. I'm not saying that everyone's broke, but I mean, to me, I used PS4 for a lot of my different reviews, right?
Yep.
When I did multi-plat titles.
Yep.
But now I'm going to tell you guys this. With that Elite controller and the bump in, even though, it's minute, the bump in the frame rate, all the games I just requested for review are for my Xbox One. All of them.
Outstanding. And let me tell you something, just so the audience knows, Jay and I have had multiple conversations in DM. He literally loves to hit me with the hot poker and say, hey, Mooch, look what I just got. It's a PS4 game I'm reviewing. He's done that a couple times to me, too. He knows where I stand. But to have you say that, Jay, that is actually... People don't realize that. You're no Xbot by no stretch of the imagination. That's no pun on the gentleman that's on the panel tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Jay, do you think that's going to be more of a trend?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let me try to explain to you guys this way. PS4 and Xbox, okay, 2 different systems.
Yeah.
Pretty much, the Xbox One was a little bit weaker. So when I requested video games for review, I never said I want it on PS4. For the most part, and I'll just drop this right here, Ubisoft would only send me PS4 titles. They would never, if it was an Xbox One, it would be like a desperate thing. They didn't want to do that. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it meant. I just got PS4. I don't know if Sony paid them to give reviewers those copies. Maybe they did. I think they might have done that, but don't count me on that one. There was just something about the PS4 that when I played the games, they just played smoother, and that was just the bottom line. That's how it was. But this new system is better. It just runs better, and I've noticed frame rate issues are no longer there. Forza Motorsports 6 and Horizon 2 and Tomb Raider, both 1 and 2, they all look just fucking incredible. But they also you can clearly see a big difference in the frame rate. And people are saying, well, 4 or 5 frames is not much. It actually is. 4 or 5 frames is a lot.
That thing looks a lot better, too.
Well, I'm going to just say this, and this is something I didn't get into in my review, which I know. That review I did was shit, let's just be honest. But I just got the system and was like, fuck, I got to make a review. So there's a couple things I got to bring up. The console itself, sleeker, sexy. The only thing I don't like is how dirty it gets. That literally is the only thing I don't like about it. Everything else is spectacular. The fan noise is reduced by at least 90%. I haven't heard it make a peep. The Blu-rays do not skip in that. My old system, they did do that.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it, I don't know if it's just me. I really don't know if it's just me, but it looks clearer. I can't explain it, but when I was recording footage for something that's coming up, it was just something is different about it, and I can't pinpoint what it is, and I think it really comes down to the frame rates. But Rise of the Tomb Raider looks just fucking stunning now compared to the old system, and I don't know what it is.
Is it because you're playing it on upscaled to 4K now, when before you weren't?
No, it had nothing to do with that. I tested everything. I looked at everything. The footage just looks clearer, and I don't know if it is a technical thing that's happening with my capture unit, but I did notice on the old system the sort of resolution or the bits, they would look a little bit iffy at times. But on this one, it's crystal clear. And I don't know if they fixed that. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the HDMI high-speed cable that's included with it. I have no idea what it is, but I'm just telling you guys now, things look sharper. On my old TV, too, on my 1081, my Samsung that I use for most of my stuff. Nothing can be explained. It just looks better and it feels better. Yeah. And when it does that, it makes me, well, I'll tell you another thing. The Elite controller is the best controller that's ever been made, period.
Fact.
Nice.
And I've stated that before, but when you put that new system with the Elite controller, which they sent me, I got to thank them again, thanking to Microsoft for sending me that, because it is the best controller I've ever used, period. And when you put it together with the new system, it's unstoppable. And the lineup that's coming out is ridiculous. I just got an email today from Microsoft telling me what I'm getting, and it's just ridiculous. Like, it's just a whole list of craziness that's coming. I mean, it's gonna be crazy.
Crazy. Xbot, I'm gonna come right back to you because I don't want to cut you off. But Jay, I will say this: we've been told from folks that we know that do happen to bump into Phil every once in a while that the fall, this upcoming fall, Phil has a lot to mention coming our way in the Xbox world. It could be hardware, it could be software. We don't know, and I know maybe you can't dive into it. But, I mean, is that a true thing where maybe there's other things coming that the average consumer is unaware of, or even the podcasting crew has no idea what's coming?
I mean, I can't talk about certain things.
Understood.
I mean, there's just, if I get an NDA, I just can't do it.
Understood. Understood.
Even you'll admit right now, I didn't even hint to you that I had the Xbox One.
No, you didn't.
And you're a huge Xbox fan, and if I had shown you weeks ago that I had this thing sitting in my living room, you would have, shit yourself. You would have had a New Yorker on your couch hanging out with you, bro, for about a week. Totally. I mean, I don't say these things to be like, oh, look at my ego. I've got these things that you know what I mean? It just I just work my show up and I get things sent to me randomly, and sometimes they're like, hey, if you talk about this, we're gonna fucking kill you.
You know what? Let me say, and I want to speak to the aspiring YouTubers. This is why I really enjoy Jay's company. And Jay, the reason I honestly keep giving you props is you're one of the first people I did watch that was not anything specific to one brand. You gave a great story last time you were on the show, how you built your brand on a way that I kind of started, and then you started doing reviews. You took a natural hit on the channel because you did something you wanted to do, which is why my hat really goes off to you. And what you just said right there is the fact that you're actually making the comments you're making about the Xbox One S. I want the audience to realize that Jay is by no means or stretch anything like myself where, Jay said it, I'm an Xbox guy. That's just the way it is. I don't hide behind a curtain. I don't tell people I like both. I have both, but I prefer the Xbox. So to hear now, Jay, you had mentioned the controller, the Elite controller. I would say everybody on the panel has one. If not, one may not. But My question was this: the Bluetooth controller that comes with the Xbox One S, I understand that it's no Elite, but have you at least played around with it to the fact of where it doesn't cringe or crunch? Is it made out of a more solid plastic? Does it have grips? What's your take on the controller you get in the box?
It basically is the same as the original controller, except they've changed the texture on the back side of it, so it kind of does feel a lot like the Elite controller, not as heavy. It has the same texture as the Elite controller. You know, that sort of,
yes,
I call it like sort of snakeskin.
Snakeskin, like a matted finish on the other side.
Yeah, like a matted finish to it. And the other thing is, Microsoft was kind enough to send me a coupon to get a review copy of the PlayLab controller, so I customized my own JKB controller, and that's showing up as well. But, I mean, I just wanted to say something. Sure. My relationship with Microsoft has been the best relationship I've had with any company, period. I mean, a close second would be Nintendo, and far, far in the distance is Sony, which has the worst PR companies ever, period. It's like trying to get a hold of the Pope. You're just not going to do it.
No, they're really not. They're not in tune. They're not in tune with their customer.
No, that's another thing. You know, Microsoft has come around to being more personable. You know what I mean? Like if I have an issue with my Xbox now, it takes me one fucking email, and 5 minutes later, I've got the issue solved. Like, there's no company like that.
You know, it's funny because even up till about a year ago, you would hear the opposite. You would hear that PlayStation was more in tune with their with their PR than Xbox was.
They never were. That's bullshit.
Really?
I've been working in the business for 8 years. Well, this is the thing. I'm in Canada, so the PR company in Canada could be totally
it's the difference between the States and Canada, and vice versa with, you know, like Europe. So
I mean,
you have to remember it depends on if you're IGN or if you are a small YouTuber, obviously.
Well, I also think that it comes down to how you handle the relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get something given to you and you don't do a review on it, it's not going to look good on you. I've seen people just try to get something just to get a copy of it from Sony, you know, and you get a copy and then you get blacklisted basically if you don't do a review of that. There's been times where I've been actually sick, like throwing up sick, couldn't do my video on something. Microsoft was just like, "Hey, cool, enjoy it." They don't give a shit. They're not down my throats like, "Hey, where's that review?" You know how many times I got emails from Sony saying, "Hey, where's that video?" Yeah, it's you know.
Hey, you know, Jay, I've asked Crap Gamer, but do you have to after you get done with your reviews, do you submit them or do they just check your channel out and see what's?
It's different with every PR company.
Okay.
I mean, if I get sent an Xbox One S, you better believe I'm going to send the video into them, and I'm going to make a really good video for them because they're sending me a piece of hardware that's $600 in Canada.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not like I'm being paid to do the video, but I'm a gamer at heart. I don't care which company you go with. I really don't care about that stuff. But if Microsoft's going to sit back and say, "Hey, we see the potential in this guy getting a copy of this system," of course I'm going to go out of my way for them. It just makes sense, you know. And I didn't say that the system was spectacular just because they sent it to me, you know. It's
no. I mean, you Jay, you know this. I even wrote you. Jay broke my heart on the morning of the Halo 5 release. Yeah, I'm listening to Jay. I always catch your review when it comes out. And
I remember Jay's Halo 5 review.
Remember it?
Man.
Oh my God, that's right. Xbox. That was the day I saved you from jumping off of a ledge. That's correct. I remember that. Yeah. No, Xbox. Go ahead and finish. You had a comment or a question for Jay.
No, I just wanted. First of all, I kind of had a point, and then I have a question for Jay as well. The point being with what he said about the game's performance and how it looked on the TV. I mean, you're dealing with a smaller chipset. You're dealing with better performance. So it is going to kind of translate visually as well. It's just the overall smoothness of the new hardware that's inside the box. I think that's really what you're seeing there. Mm-hmm. And then for the question, because my son picked up a 1S, so we unboxed it together. I picked the thing up. Dude, were you surprised by the weight of this thing for how small it was?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, when I first got the system, of course, the first thing I wanted to do is be like, "Holy fuck, guys, look what I have!" But of course, I couldn't do that. So it's frustrating at times because I'm a gamer. First thing I was like, "Hey, Mooch would lose his mind if I said, 'Hey, I got this,' or send him a photo of it or something." But When I
still lost my mind when you sent me that. I knew you were up to something, buddy.
Well, let me tell you what it's like to get a call. Like I don't get calls very often, but when I get a call from Microsoft, it's usually something big. So when they call me and they're like, "Hey, have you checked your mail?" It's like, okay, something is fucking massive in my mailbox. So I go down there and there's nothing there. So I email them back and they're like, "Oh shit, you're supposed to be getting the Xbox One S today, like the launch day 2 terabyte." I'm like, holy shit. So FedEx, long story short, FedEx messed that
You're
up.
like, who do I send blowjobs to?
Basically, I mean, that's definitely what's going to happen. I mean, they've got a. Here's something else that people don't realize. I'm in Toronto. They have an event every year called whatever they name it after the year. So it's X16 this year, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they literally throw a giant party, free drinks. All the games coming out are on display. You can play them all, and you can hang out all day there. I mean, does Sony do that in Toronto? Absolutely not. Again, let me just say this: worst fucking PR in the business. And I didn't come on here because it's to bash Sony.
No, not at all.
I'm just, you know, it's just.
You know, it's funny you say that, Jay, because I hang around with Maka pretty much every night playing Rainbow and stuff, and he says the exact opposite. He says it's so much easier for him to get stuff from Sony, and he says trying to get stuff from Microsoft is like fucking pulling the tooth.
How it works is basically if you have if you meet them in person, and they like you, you're going to get it. It's that simple. It's a PR company. It's not actually Sony.
Right. It's Edelman or Assembly or whatever, right? Or that runs Microsoft's PR.
I think it's Versatile or something in Toronto.
Oh yeah, in Canada it's somebody else. But they're all like the same company essentially, right?
I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. With Sony, I think I blacklisted myself when Until Dawn came out and I was praising that game, and I told in person, I told somebody at Sony, like, you guys are doing a fucking horrible job with the PR on this. I don't think they liked being told how to do their job, so I think there was a note that was handed down, like, don't give this guy anything.
They crossed your name off that list, like, no more for this asshole.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm sitting here on CrossFire, and I'm enjoying the story you're saying, Jay, because when I watch all your videos, you always, first of all, you're very, very upfront. You thank whoever gives you the product. You thank the company, and let's be honest, there was a good stretch where you were getting you said it yourself just a few minutes ago, you were getting PlayStation 4 games. I thought, just coming from the outside looking in, that it would have been easier to get things from Sony, but you're saying that's just the way that the publishers have been sending them out.
Yeah, I mean, most of the publishers would send me PS4 copies. I think I got Fallout 4 on Xbox One, and
Far Cry 4 as well, didn't you? Or Far Cry Primal, was it?
Was it? I don't remember.
That was PS4 as well.
No, that was that was PS4. My Ubisoft tends to send me PS4 games. However, I've been asking for Xbox One since I got the Elite controller.
Very cool. No, you were very, very clear that. Now, does anybody on the panel have an Xbox One S besides Jay?
Well,
no.
my son does.
Well, here's the thing. I actually went out, Crap Gamer on Xbox Nation, we discussed GameStop in America is keeping up until August 31st, keeping those same promos running for turning them in. I went today. I have the Gears 4 one already pre-ordered for collector's edition reasons. But then I'm sitting here, and me and Rand had a really great conversation the other day. Here's what I came down to, Jay. I'm going to have an Xbox One S upstairs and downstairs like I have two now. But it's because I want the value. First of all, I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing on the reviews. I knew this was probably going to be a good thing for Microsoft, but I said the same thing everybody else said. I'll get one, and then I'll just see what happens. But right now, to get $150, okay, let's talk dollars here for a minute. $150 for my Xbox One Fat Day One Edition, which is, it could kick the bucket any day. It could last 10 years. But, I mean, to get that right now, put $150 out of pocket to get the 500 gig for upstairs, you're going to get $150 trade-in next year for Scorpio. It just seems like I can put $150 out and get $150 back. I did it today. I mean, I pre-ordered that one there, so I'm going to have two S's. When the Scorpio comes out, of course one's getting traded in. I'm going to keep one S around and have the Scorpio on the main set.
And you're going to keep that Gears, because that Gears, you got to hold on to that one.
No, it's too red, man. You don't want that one.
It's too red.
What? Are you crazy? I think, if it was Halo Green, you'd be like, oh, no.
No, Xbox Green. Come on, man.
What's funny about it though, and Jay, we'll let you in on some of these are inside jokes, and some of these are not inside jokes. They're actually just media quotes. There was a media outlet that said 2 red. We're also kind of compounding on the fact that when Gears Ultimate came out, the negative IGN gave it was too much A button. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, it was like the negative over there was
the S where it was too white.
I don't know what it was. All I know is it's the reviews. They've got to make you laugh a little, right, Jay? I mean, and this is gonna segue into something else. Crap Gamer and Jay and myself were talking about it before the show. Let's talk about No Man's Sky for a minute, folks, because here's the reason I bring it up.
Lonely Man's Sky, obviously.
I'm new to reviews. Okay, I'm new to it. I've done 3 or 4. Crap Gamer's done a boatload. Jay's done a boatload. Here's my whole thing, and Dryer, you write a lot, so I'm sure you've reviewed games. When a company run by Sean Murray there doesn't send out review copies, let's not talk about just them, Jay. I want to be generic, and then I want to get into crap too. Jay, is that usually a telltale sign of an uh-oh? Not because like Doom didn't do it, but Doom ended up being a success. This is a case where people are requesting it out loud and they're saying no. What is you as a reviewer usually look at it? How are you kind of stepping forward into the review?
Well, I know what it is. It's simply the day one update is such a massive part of the game that they don't want anybody to play it beforehand, and it's only going live on day one. They're not going to release it early, so it's just a technical thing, to be honest. Does it mean the game's a piece of shit? Absolutely not. It doesn't really mean anything except Sony is very calculated, and also the game is so. It has so much hype behind it. They don't need to give out review copies. People are going to go buy it day one no matter what. So
now are they doing a good job explaining that the reason why they're not giving out review copies?
Well, absolutely not. They don't need to give an excuse.
No, we're just not doing it.
This is the same thing that happened with the Order, though, right? The Order also didn't have review copies go out till either last minute.
Well, I mean, let me just be honest with you guys. It doesn't mean that the game's not out there in people's hands. It just means that a select handful of people have the game and the usual media don't.
Okay.
So that could be simply a big play on promotions. It could be anything. You got to understand now, we're going into a different age of YouTube. Not everyone's going to get review copies anymore. That's because YouTube isn't what it used to be. Right. Even I don't get all the review copies anymore. Right. It's a different atmosphere out there now. So they're trying new things. It doesn't necessarily mean the game's bad. It just means that they have. I mean, look at the Shadow of Mordor fiasco that happened with the fact that you could only review it or whatever the hell that whole thing was. I've worked with that company before, and I had that offer put down to me, and I declined it because it sounded shady as shit. But right. I'm just saying, tying that into companies are trying new things, so it could be a number of different things, and it's silly to actually assume what it actually is. Well, I think it's the update, but that's just my.
Well, now that you tell me about this massive update, and you can tell, I mean, Sean Murray's been very clear that the game is built on algorithms. So, I mean, an update would actually hold a lot of truth to that. However, I will say this much: this game it's got a lot of dirty laundry, though, Jay. And this is factual from people that I've spoke to that have been to E3 and spoke to people that are in the know. They've said that they've seen that it has a very hard time running on the PS4, has no issues on the PC. And they're just having a hard time getting it to run on that machine. A lot of people thought it would launch with Neo, this and that, and the other thing. Of course, that's not true. But, I mean, there is a little bit of truth to when or I shouldn't say truth, just fair warning to people when they don't allow it. And you're saying it's a technical issue. I mean, there have been multiple other games. Like if Halo 5, look at Microsoft, what they did with Quantum Break. They gave you guys Quantum Break like 3 weeks before it came out.
I had that game a month before it was releasing.
I mean, is that them just peacocking around, walking around like they own the joint, or is that it's like, I mean, that's some pretty good confidence in what they had.
I mean, Microsoft has always given me games 3 to a month in. Or out before it's out. Like I'm expecting Horizon 3 in a week or two.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that the game's not until like September or whatever it is.
Do me a personal favor, please. And we talked about this. I did a show a couple weeks ago, and I want to thank Jay for reaching out. One of my favorite people that Jay used to have on his show was Kat. Shout out to her. She really did a great job with GKB back when they were 3KB. And you got to bring her back if you can get her to come in studio with you, Jay, to do the Forza Horizon. You and her doing Forza Horizon 2 are the reason I bought the game. I'm not going to lie to you.
You know, it's kind of crazy. People don't realize this. She could outrace all of us in real life. Like she's been behind the wheel of an Indy car like numerous times on a real track, like doing things that would make me shit myself.
She sold me on that game, I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, so that's why, I mean, when I have her on the reviews, I usually have her only on the things that she either
passionate about.
Yeah, passionate about, and then she could be like, this is shit or this isn't shit. So when she started playing the game, she was just like, this is exactly what it feels like to be behind the wheel of a car that has this horsepower. So she understands what the game is about on a technical level, and in the real world, she understands what a car is supposed to feel like. So, I mean, that's a possibility. It's just
that's the first game that's going to utilize HDR, from what I'm hearing. And if I'm wrong, somebody please shout out at me. That's going to be something special. I really think this. And when does a car game ever truly captivate an audience? But I think it's going to do it because it's going to flex the muscles of the hardware in this case. And also, it's becoming a beloved series. I think it's actually more of a fan favorite than the Forza Motorsport series.
I agree with you on that one.
Well, hold on. There's a difference in communities there, right? Forza Horizon is an easier pick up and play for people who are into like the simulations and stuff. It's a really good balance between simulation and arcade. So you're going to get a bigger audience with that compared to a straight racing simulator, man.
That's true.
I love both of them. I'm a big Forza fan. I love what Turn 10 does. I love what Playground does with Horizon. I think they have gems in these two Forza franchises, basically. I absolutely love what they do.
Yeah, those guys are incredible over there. I've talked to some of the team, and those guys understand what we want out of a racing game, and they know, you know what I mean? It's not in development for 20 years and then it fucking gets delayed and who knows where the hell it is now. It's... Nice. You know, I'm talking about GT, obviously.
I already knew you were, man.
You know, talk about dropping the ball on a franchise that was beloved. I mean, I grew up on PS2 and Gran Turismo, and like, where is that now? Why is that gone? It just doesn't make sense to me.
And what's the deal with the sport? I mean, what is that? Is it a kindergarten version of what we should be getting in 7?
I don't know. Listen. If I worked at these companies, things would probably be a little bit better. I'm not saying I'm fucking amazing at, you know, all of these things because, you know, I've been in a studio. When 400 people are making a video game, it's not easy to be like, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. Can you deliver on that? Yes, we can. And this team fails. Okay, we got to make up for that, but we're going to lose out on this. People don't understand. Games now don't take 5 minutes to make. They take years. So when you have a team of 400 people, and especially with the team of 400 people that are very talented, you're going to see problems develop. People might drop the ball on this and that, and then it comes down to the end of the whole cycle, and somebody has to come up to bat and say, listen, you know, we have to delay the game because this isn't ready or whatnot. But I think, you know, video games nowadays, I was playing Forza Horizon 2 the other day. It's just it's a masterpiece. It's an amazing game, but I don't think people take it for granted now, games, because I was taking a walk earlier and thinking about something I'm working on, and I was just thinking about this. I think, you know, when we go and play these video games now, I think a lot of us, and even me, are taking it for granted. I mean, gaming is not just video games anymore. Like, you pop in for, you know, Forza 6, it's a fucking simulation of things you could never do in your life. You want to get behind a car that costs $1 million, you're gonna do that in the game. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we take it for granted. We push a fucking button, but somebody had to go out there and figure all those things out for us to be able to get to that situation.
I like how you're taking it there, Jay. I actually want to add something to it too, since we're all products of the 80s, some 70s, and coming from gaming all these years in our lives. like, I want to take it to a level where we take it for granted on another level. You're talking about the actual experience of the game. I'm talking about the actual quality of the game. We have so many great games that are out now, and that's what pisses me off with reviews. Like, I may not be vocally praising some games, but when I do a review, I still give, I think, an honest number. I've had a lot of people write me saying, Mooch, I like the number. I know you don't like it personally, but you still give a good number. My point being is, I remember taking home some beloved games on the NES, the SNES, the Genesis. You can go right up the line. And then they just had these god-awful bugs in the games, like, right? But I fought through the what was broken, if you will call these days, and what didn't work so well. If your character just glitched out when you were Simon Belmont and you jumped on a ledge and you just went through the ledge into a pit of fire, okay? Like, we've all been there, and we take for granted now that everything is so pristine. For the most part, unless we're talking about Soda Drinker Pro, everything is pretty polished. Okay, you've got an amazing amount of games out there to pick from that are just amazing, and that's sometimes when I hear these reviewers and like, this game sucks or blah 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 blah, and I can't stand. You know,
I mean, that's when you turn that person off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not reviewing shit. It's just some fucking idiot who wants to make a YouTube channel. Great.
Right.
You know, if I wanted to hear some bullshit, I'd go watch some bullshit.
Jay,
you know
Jay,
what I mean?
you know my stance, right? You know who I am, right? I would actually take it as a privilege if you would actually watch my Uncharted 4 review. You know how I stand on PS4. I still gave Uncharted 4 an 8.5. I thought it was a hell of a game. I thought it was a great continuation in the series that is Uncharted. The only reason I didn't give it a 9+ was what I was looking for, because it was Sony's big title coming out in this next generation, is I wanted to see more than just a continuation from the game. And all that really was to me was a really good continuation of the story from 3. So in that retrospect, it was polished. The mechanics were decent. You know, as they've come, whether you either like the mechanics or you don't in Uncharted. And the story I thought was good. So I gave it an 8.5, which, like, I think you would say, someone who does reviews on the frequent, an 8.5 is a hell of a score.
Yeah, it's very fair.
You know what I mean? Like, if I was just Mooch, the guy who hates Sony, and I was just this asshole all the time that people always say, I would have gave it a 6, right? And I would have been just a dick. You'd have been like, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to talk to him anymore because he's just trying to promote his channel. No, that's not how I do things. And that's why I tip my hat to you. Usually if you demote something, and I noticed you stopped, Jay. For a while, you were starting your reviews at 10, and then you were kind of going down. You're like, now I'm going to take this to a 9. You're like, now it's going to go down to an 8. And I noticed, I think you don't do that version anymore, right? You kind of give your spiel and then give a number at the end again, or am I wrong? I haven't seen you do the countdown thing in a while.
Oh, it's coming back. I like doing it that way because, well, I like doing it that way because I haven't seen anyone else really do that.
No, nobody else does it.
And the idea is that if somebody's going to spend millions of dollars, then the game is going to be the best version of the game that they could release, right?
Right.
So it has to be a 10 out of 10. That's what I'm assuming. It must be the best version of the game. But then if something is, you know, I'm not going to blame just the whole game for being a piece of shit. If one of the departments did an amazing job, for instance, Assassin's Creed Unity, the people who mapped out London in that game, or France,
Yes.
whatever, I don't even remember where it was, but that says a lot about the game. But wherever the hell it was, it looked stunning. Like, it looked absolutely stunning when it worked.
Right.
So am I going to say the game's a piece of shit? Not necessarily. I mean, some people might just enjoy going around the city and looking at it and experiencing that in the atmosphere. As a reviewer, you can't just be like, oh, you know, the frame rate's shit, so the whole game's a piece of shit. Don't play it. Like, that's not reviewing a game, you know?
I agree. Now, crap, you did a review of Unity. And you didn't do it day one when it came out. Did you wait and do a delay on it?
6 months later.
Yeah, when they fixed it, right? No, I don't blame you. That's fine. You gave you wanted to actually, and you enjoyed it, if I remember right.
Yeah, well, I tried to play it at launch, and it was terrible. Like, it would crash all the time, and there were like people walking around in the mid of air and shit like that. So I was like, okay. So I put it aside. Then about 6 months later, I got bored. So I was like, yeah, I'll pop this in. I played through the whole game in like a day. Played through the DLC. I was like, damn, this game is actually really, really good. You know, I just I wish it would have been as good from launch. You know, and
I had the same experience with Unity. I waited until I picked it up for like $9 on CD keys, and then I played the game, and it put me on to Syndicate because I liked experiencing these old cities and all of that.
See, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I'll tell you the truth. I think that I wish I was more of an Assassin's Creed fan.
I don't know. I disagree with that. I thought Unity was a pile of pure trash.
Yeah,
you didn't like it at all?
I played every single Assassin's Creed game, and I thought Unity was the worst they could. Well, outside of the tech demo that was the first game, which is understandable, I thought Unity was a pile of garbage. Probably a 4 out of 10 at the most.
Now, why do you say that?
I mean, the game looks great, right? But it runs like shit, and the combat is piss poor. The stealth didn't add anything to it. The story was fucking terrible. Everything about that game just screamed to me rush job, right? I haven't played Syndicate yet, which is a shame because I actually look forward to playing all the Assassin's Creed games, and that game almost has turned me off completely to the franchise.
Syndicate is great.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have the game here. I just haven't played it because of how I felt playing Unity, and it wasn't just me. It was like, all my buddies, like, we played it in co-op. Co-op was terrible. It ran like shit.
Yeah.
Unity was just a bad.
Me and Rand for 2 weeks I think it's 2 weeks in a row. We agree, man.
It just and to me, now that's just my opinion, I thought Unity was one of the worst like AAA games on the Xbox One for a variety of reasons, and I'm glad that Ubisoft has decided to not make them yearly anymore, so they can actually put more time and love and quality control into their games. So I mean, I'm gonna get to Syndicate at some point and see how that is.
You know what, Rand, you made a perfect point because when they were doing it yearly, it definitely watered it down, and Unity was just trash.
Well, I think Unity got hit with the early in this generation bug, right? There was a lot of broken games. I don't like to even say, but there was a lot of issues with a lot of different games that time. Of this generation. And remember that was when we were all scratching our heads saying, I thought we were going to upgrade, and what happened? This was a failure. And now we're kind of moving on from that because now there's so many games coming at us. We're right back to where we used to be with the 360 and PS3 era. I mean, there's so many games coming out this holiday. You either need a second job to go get all these games or you need to quit one of them to play them.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, when it came to Unity, like, they sold you on this co-op, aspect to it. And you thought maybe, you could play co-op through the whole game, and when it just came to just like a side mission that was completely broken, it just, for me, it turned me off. And then, all the bugs and everything else, I was just like, wow.
I mean, that was 2014 at the end there was just an indictment of people trying to get games out when they shouldn't have. Assassin's Creed Unity is a prime example.
Halo.
Master Chief Collection is another prime example of games that should not have come out when it was just, here's the release date, we need to ship it, and we don't care if it's broken, we'll fix it with the day one patch.
I mean, it's easy.
They should have just made Assassin's Creed Rogue. They should have just ported it to the Xbox One and the PS4.
Assassin's Creed Rogue was pretty damn good, I thought. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I thought that's what we were going to see this year in a like a remaster 1080p 60 FPS or something of that nature.
I'm hoping for a backwards compatibility version of it.
I said, fuck that, man. I just bought it on 360, just went back and played it on my B60, man.
You played it on your 360, yes. Well, now I want to stick with the Xbox One hardware here. Let's talk about the anniversary update that came out. And also, of course, I'll start with our guest, Jay. Jay, what did you think? What was your take on the anniversary that is now out? Okay, do you feel that it still needs some tweaking? Pros and cons, and then we'll go through. I have a few people that wrote me comments on Twitter, and they were just disgruntled by it. I kind of shook my head at it because I didn't understand quite the frustration these folks had. But what was your take coming from the way you kind of review updates on UI?
Well, because I had the system early, there was some sort of mix-up. Long story short, I got like an update that wasn't public or some craziness. So when I was using mine, while I was reviewing it, it was fucking horrible. Then when it went public, then I got the actual update, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea wasn't ready, and they basically emailed me and said, hey, you're going to get this version that's not public, and don't talk about it. But I just did, but whatever.
I love it.
But the update, the only complaint I have is that it can be a little confusing on where the cursor's actually sitting, like what bar you're on.
Yes.
And when you're switching between your home screen and you want to go to the store, you've got those two bars in between, and sometimes I'm just like, can I just get rid of those because I just want the store and I want my games and my apps. That's all I want on my desktop.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's a step in the right direction. That's what I said basically in my review. That the update's cool. That you can now see the update of your downloads on the main screen. Also, change the title size for somebody that's a reviewer, and I get all these copies of the games. It's cool to be able to look at them alphabetized and all that whatnot. You know, it's but. I mean, it hiccups here and there. Sometimes things won't load. It's the same thing that happens on my PS4. I mean, it is. Let's be honest here. They're both, I think, on par at this point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that one's better than the other.
I think here's the way I look at it. I think they're on par as far as the stability goes. I do, of course, here comes the fanboy, right? I do like what Microsoft gives me as far as options a little bit more. I feel there's a little bit more because let's be honest, Jay, as far as and please tell me because I don't use my PS4 nearly as much as I use my Xbox One, but it just seems to be just a long thread that runs to the right with the PlayStation, right? So if you buy 25 games, you're just scrolling down to get your games, and then it just scrolls down for a second. I mean, it just seems very ancient, which is why people say, well, it works so smoothly. Well, of course it does. I mean, if we were still using Windows XP, right, and we just kept, like, tuning it, like that's what Apple does. You know, a lot of people, I'm an Apple fan. Apple just keeps taking iOS. They haven't done, God rest his soul, since Steve passed away, they haven't done anything new except polish last year's version.
I'm waiting for the Newton 2.
The Newton 2.
You know what it is, though? I think that the Xbox and Microsoft, they want to be in your living room, so they want it to be more compatible with your living room. I don't think Sony really gives a shit about that stuff anymore.
Good point.
And I think that because we're getting more customization in terms of what you can do with the tiles, changing the size, changing the way it sorts everything, that's a bonus. Anybody that says, like, oh, you don't need all that shit, it's an idiot.
That's right.
You don't need to use it. Don't complain about it. Don't use it. Don't talk about it.
That was it. Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth. That was what I tweeted to the individual that was, quote-unquote, frustrated. I said, everything they gave you in this latest update, well, he goes, Cortana sucks. I said, shut it off. I don't use the tiles. Don't.
Yeah, you have options.
Everything is an option. Nothing in this last update I felt was shoved down our throat. I do agree with Jay and what he's saying. When I'm at my main home screen, okay, on the main, you know, whether you're watching TV or it's a game or YouTube is your center app, I don't like how I have to hit 2 boxes over to get to the next screen.
Mooch, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on one thing there.
What do you got?
Cortana. That was supposed to replace the original Xbox command, without a doubt. And the fact that they're giving you the option is only because it doesn't work. Their initial plan was for that to be the new, Xbox On or whatever it is.
Yes.
But the fact that it was so broken, they had to go backwards. Because you remember when they removed the ability to snap the achievement app, and I was all up in people's DMs please, and they put it back in, and one of the reasons they told me they were getting rid of it was because usage rate was low, because you never want to have 2 ways to do one thing, right? You don't, the achievements are in the guide, and then achievements you can snap to. They didn't want, the technical explanation was you don't want to have 2 different ways to do the same thing, which is the same thing with this. You have Cortana, which is the same thing as the Xbox commands. It would go the same. You don't want to have to do the same thing for 2. So Cortana was supposed to be shoved down our throat. It was supposed to replace it. Well, it works for some people and it doesn't work for others. Honestly, I test it out, and half the time, I talk to it, it gets it right maybe 50% of the time. It's just not worth.
Here's the thing: it's not good for if you're playing and you want to record a fucking game clip, and you're just I'm used to going Xbox, record that or whatever, or
right.
You know what I mean? If I'm hey Cortana, it's fucking warming up, and then by the time it gets by the time it gets around to doing that shit, I already missed a minute. You know what I mean? It's
I got you. But there is ways around that. You could add to the time of the record that as well. I see.
You can have the
I like the 30 seconds is perfect for me, though.
You make a great point with that. That's not what I'm saying, but I see where you're coming from with that. If you're not using her a lot throughout the day, then when you do say her name, she has to warm up and everything. And if you're going to record that, then you're going to miss out on the gameplay that you actually want to record.
I guess I have a question for the panel then. Should we start to look at these updates as new frontier, okay? Because what their dream for Cortana to be was supposed to be this Of course, that Cortana is Microsoft Siri. Okay, it was supposed to be our hey Cortana, is JKB on? Yes, JKB is on. Great, Cortana, can you set up an appointment to send the game invite to him at 9:30 tonight? Okay, that game invite will be sent. You know what I mean? Like, the idea was supposed to be that it was this seamless, speaking a little bit more human to it. Should we look at it as Microsoft is giving us a taste of the future and not complain, or we're beta testers and damn it, we didn't pay for this? I mean, that's what you know what I mean.
Cortana is their Newton.
Right.
I mean,
I don't know, Mooch. I mean, like now that they took the Connect port completely out of the S, right? Yeah. And they probably are assuming most people won't have Connect hooked up. I don't know. Like I think that's what Cortana was supposed to be, because that's how they demoed it originally, right?
Right.
Like in back in 2014, where it was like, hey, is Jay on? Like, make sure to remind him that we have a game, invite at like 10 o'clock, and it was like, all right, invite done, and remind him or whatever.
Now
it doesn't do any of that stuff.
Remember that in the initial, there was like, okay, your game's ready now. Everybody, it automatically puts you into the game when it was ready.
I mean, it doesn't do any of that stuff. So they probably had to walk back their initial vision, because it's probably insanely complicated to get all these things right with all the different dialects and different voice types and accents and everything. So I don't know if they'll ever we'll ever get where Cortana is as fully featured as they want it to be, because they've already kind of walked it back and said, no, you can go back and use the old ones. So they've already kind of rescinded on that,
Yeah. The only time I used Cortana in the last month or so was tonight, when I asked her what the meaning of redundant was. That's all.
The other day, I wanted to send a message to Crap, so I said, "Hey, Cortana," and she's like, warming up, and I'm like, "Send Crap Gamer a message," and she's like, sending Crap Gamer a message, and then I was like, "Rack 'em up," right? So she's like, looking for definition of rack 'em up, and it brought up a pool thing. I was like, "Oh, this is what's wrong with that."
Yeah. I mean, so I guess, but I mean, let's be honest. I look at it a little differently. I thought that Mike and his team put the Xbox commands back in there because it is a work in progress, and I think that. And Red, can you speak to that at all? Have you mentioned? I mean, you don't have to give me quotes, but as Mike said, hey, you know what? We're aware of what it is, and it is something that we're working actually really hard on. We want Cortana to be a part of the future of Xbox branding, meaning S and Scorpio. Has he given a hint?
I haven't talked to him about it.
Okay, I didn't know if maybe you guys kind of bullshit about that.
Maybe hint to your surrogate father.
Well, let me give you a little bit of what I think's going on here. Is that
please, Jay.
Everything's leading up to something. These companies don't just simply go, hey, let's add voice for no reason whatsoever. There's always a motive behind their movements. So to have Cortana just sitting there hardly working doesn't mean that they don't give a shit about it. It just means that they're working on it as we're going through these generations. Mm-hmm. So when Scorpio comes out and it has a VR headset and it works with Cortana, and Cortana works properly, and we're sitting there with our headsets on and we just say, hey, Cortana, and we're talking to an actual floating Cortana in front of us in VR, then I don't think anyone's going to be fucking complaining about it.
Not at all.
That's the end game, then that's pretty cool.
So that, I mean,
somebody's gonna try to tackle her and like.
I know. I'm looking forward to. Can you turn around and bend
Hey, I'm looking forward to when Cortana's AR, and I'm like, hey, Cortana, do this, and she's like warming up and still doesn't do shit, but it'll look cool.
You're warming up, but I'm hot.
Yeah, it'll look cool, but.
Yeah,
oh, gross, dude! Come on, man! I'm not a fucking weebo. Get out of here.
Hey, Jay, can I ask you about what your thoughts are on because this also seems to be a hot topic in the media. Is some outlets don't get it, some do, but the idea of announcing the Xbox One S and then immediately announcing the Scorpio, and some outlets are like, well, how could you announce one and then the other? It's like you killed the S at the same time you announced the next system. And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, they really killed the S. Sold out how many territories? Yeah, it's in.
Because I mean, like IGN had a roundtable.
But like, IGN is fucking horrible.
Oh, they are. That is true.
They're dumb. Like, what I don't get. You know what it is? It's this. There's a producer at IGN that goes, "What bullshit clickbait fucking article can we write today and make a video about? Hey, how about this? Okay, let's just do that." you got to keep in mind these companies are losing money as we go into the future of YouTube, and because of me, because I am in my fucking living room making videos in my living room. I'm not some corporation, and sometimes some of my reviews back in the day used to get more views than their reviews would, and that's a threat to them. So they have to stay afloat some way. I mean, it's just logic. They have to come up with some bullshit, and they're going to go at every single direction. They're going to go, okay, what's the positive? What's the negative? Let's talk about every single direction. So
it seems to me that this gen, more than the other ones, it seems that, and maybe you can speak to this, it seems like negative Xbox articles and positive Sony articles seem to be the trend. You think that gets the most traffic for them for the reason?
Yeah, I mean, that all came from the whole launch of the Xbox One. That was Microsoft making a horrible mistake. Obviously, they backpedaled very quickly, and it's an uphill battle now, and it's gaining the trust back of those fans that were let down with that whole fiasco that happened when it launched.
Yeah. And you know, and the craziest thing about it is there's people that still believe some of the shit that they're talking about at launch that never even came into fruition. I mean,
well, that's just somebody who's ill-informed, who doesn't understand video games. But in terms of the S being released and selling out, and then Scorpio coming, I don't think a lot of people understand the future generations of consoles. Scorpio is not going to be sitting on your shelf for 7 years, and then we're getting Xbox, whatever it will be after that.
Right.
We're going to get Scorpio, then we're going to get Scorpio 2, which is probably going to be within 2 years, then we're going to get Scorpio 3 within 2 years, and they're all going to work in tangent. The plan is not to have a generation anymore. It's about choice. So if I want to have the console that does the VR, I'm going to purchase that version. If I just want to do gaming classic style, then I'm going to get that version. There's nothing wrong with having that choice.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing as a video. It's buying a car. You can buy it with this, without that. It's all up to you and what you want out of that car. It's going to come down to that and sort of more of a PC base.
But XBot has this theory, though.
Thank you.
And I kind of agree this is where the game companies want it to go eventually down the road, about you buy a $50 piece of hardware and everything's just streamed from their servers, like kind of like PS Now. Like that's the ultimate end goal of Sony and Microsoft.
10, 15 years.
What do you think about that? I mean,
that's guaranteed to happen with a lot more than just that. Not just video games. It's going to happen with all sorts of things, that everything will be in a cloud and we just turn on a device that has literally no processor except the processor to get the feed sent to it.
Yeah.
That's really the future of everything. However, I honestly think, just from talking to people, the real issues are networking and also security at this point in time. Yeah. So can you imagine PS5 and Xbox 3 or whatever it's going to be in the future? Can you imagine some company hacks those streaming services and all of your games are lost? It'd be a fucking disaster.
Yeah. Not only that, your credit cards and
exactly
all of that aspects to it.
I mean, so that's why Sony and Microsoft aren't holding that out and saying, let's do this right now, because look at what has happened just with PSN, that huge fucking hack that happened. Cost them a lot of money. Do you think they really want to put all of our information out there and then just on a whim hope that nobody hacks a major server, and then all of Canada, what happens if Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out and it's on a streaming service and that gets hacked? You think Rockstar is going to be happy with Sony? You think Sony's going to be happy with the hackers? There's all of those security issues, and it's just, we're not there. Like the infrastructure on consoles is just not there yet. Like, you remember when we started playing video games online with your friends and you were like, this is spectacular. Now look at it. It hasn't really went that far. We're still seeing connection issues. We're still seeing horrible servers. We're still seeing games crashing. I mean, Battlefield, when it came out, was a complete shit show.
To be fair, though, Microsoft's first-party games, with giving them all dedicated servers, you don't really see that on their end. But the multi-platform games you do see, because they're using...
No, totally. I mean, to be fair, yes, there are certain servers that work better than others, but my point here is that we don't have a unified universe of amazing servers yet. It's not like, we can't have that...
working on it. Trust me.
Well, they're definitely working on stuff, but
All of them can use the same servers at Azure. Microsoft said that, but do they want to?
Yeah, but they
Sony
don't
does. Sony don't want to pay Microsoft to use Azure servers. Come on now.
Well,
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other topic.
It's time to wheel out Tim Sweeney again, you know.
No, well, I want to ask a question too. You know, I want to get Jay's perspective on this. I've been saying, and I've been using an awful Karate Kid reference where you stand on one side of the road or the other, but if you're in the middle, you get squished like grape. And that's it. Now, here's my purpose for asking this, Jay. I think the PS Neo is going to run into what we would call a bit of a problem. And let me explain it first before I just sound like the typical. And feel free to say, no, you're full of shit, Mooch. That's just you
You're full
being
of
you.
shit, Mooch.
Thank you, Dry. I was waiting. I was wondering who was going to do it first. My point is
we'll
this.
see if you're full of shit. Let's see.
The PS4, okay, we all have the vanilla PS4 in our homes. We know what its output is. We pretty much know what its power threshold is. Great, grand, wonderful. In 12 to 13, maybe 15 months at most, we're looking at the Project Scorpio coming out. This is for the power mongrels, okay? This conversation is about for the power mongrels.
Yeah.
If you're just a fan of JRPGs and you like those Gundam-style games, this conversation doesn't really apply to you because it's indifferent. You're going to buy more of a Sony product. But if you're a power mongrel, don't you see the PS4? PS4 is going to be somewhere between $400 and $500. Why would you, even the Sony faithful, why would they upgrade when Sony is saying this fall there's no games coming out for it? They haven't shown anything. Yeah, I understand there's going to be a Neo mode for some of the games coming out in 2017. But if you're a power mongrel, you're holding your money for the Scorpio. If you're content with your PS4, I don't think Sony's done a good enough job to upsell you to the Neo, and it's coming out in a few months. Jay, my point is the Neo is dead on delivery, not because of the way I feel, but because of the way Sony's marketed it, and because there's just nothing to buy for it, and it's stuck in the middle. It's stuck between PS4 Vanilla and Scorpio. I mean, does that hold weight?
A little bit. I mean, I'll say that they haven't done a good job of saying what the fuck it is because they haven't said anything.
Right.
But in terms of rollouts, companies always have plans, and we don't really know Sony's plan with that thing yet. We understand that they have to have something that competes against Scorpio, and I mean, these companies. If you sat back and you said that Sony and Microsoft don't have a line of communication, you'd be nuts.
Absolutely.
Of course, these companies talk to each other and say, "We're working on this. What do you got?" Even you look at anything that's come before this. Microsoft and Apple, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, friends. They came over. They showed what they were working on. What do you got? Because that's part of it. It's about
Bill Gates. You know what I mean? He bailed out Apple at one point. You know.
Yeah.
What I mean?
So
they need each other.
See, they need each other. That's what people don't realize. Like if Sony took over the market and there was no Xbox anymore, it would be boring. It would be like, okay, that we've got the games, and they could go into a state of being a boring company that we just play our games on. Yeah. They need to be challenged, and they actually enjoy that. You think like Phil, he doesn't sit back and love when Sony knocks at him a little bit. He loves it because then he goes to his little lab and goes, well, we got this. What do you got? These companies love doing that thing. Having that sort of back and forth. And I think, to be honest here, all of us on this panel, nobody really knows what the plan is for these systems. We don't even know if this is a next generation. Is it just a step up? What is it? Right. They haven't even told us that. So it's all speculation, of course. At this point in time, do we really need an upgrade? I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think this generation of consoles was where it should have been. I think it should have been delayed at least one more year. Mm-hmm. Xbox 360 was fucking golden. You could drop and everybody knew how to program on that thing. You could drop a game on there. The networks were awesome. Avatar system in terms of the Xbox Live was stellar. It was way better than anything that PlayStation had going for it. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we get this new generation that's just a disappointment to a lot of people because we're expecting photorealistic graphics. We're expecting massive worlds. We're expecting all of this networking features that we didn't really get at this point in time. Yeah. And that's really what the Scorpio and the Neo is going to be, apparently. That's what we want. But I think a lot of people also got the next generation, quote-unquote, confused in terms of seeing photorealistic graphics. It's only going to be a certain amount of time before we get photorealistic graphics, and then what? You know what I mean? Then what do we have?
Well, I agree with you, Jay, but I guess my one concern, and I think you made a hell of a point right there, but I want to counter it with one thing. E3 is come and gone, and we both agree, we're both on the same page with Sony's done a bad job of advertising because they haven't said anything. But why would now I'm not Mooch, the Xbox guy, now I'm Mooch, the Sony guy. Why am I excited to pull $500 out of my pocket and give it to Sony when they clearly showed me at E3 that they don't have anything coming this fall that I would go? So you get home, okay, you're not Jay the reviewer anymore. Now you're Jay the consumer. You get home, you've got your shiny Neo. It looks nice. It smells that we've all had consoles coming out of the box since we were kids. That smell, that's that new console. We all get excited. It's great. It's like new car smell for gamers. You pull it out, you plug it in, you're all excited, and then I ask you, Jay, what are you going to play on your Neo this fall?
To be honest, I would not buy that system. Why would I buy it? It doesn't make sense.
Exactly, and that's my point. I don't know I would hope when Microsoft, you could turn the question around and go, okay, fine, Mooch, what's Scorpio coming out with? I don't know. However, I am going to have my ears peeled and my ear to the ground. I would, no, we can make our guesses, but I don't. It's not about us making a guess because nobody on this panel is actually going to do any advertising for the Scorpio to get the millions that they want to see produced and sold. My point is, Phil and company have to do a hell of a job next E3 to say when Scorpio launches, this is what you're getting.
Let me tell you this. Phil is more in tune with the gaming community than anybody else. Yeah. And the reason that they showed Scorpio, they didn't need to do that for us. The reason they did do that is for excitement because we're fans of Xbox. We want to know, okay, cool, something is coming down the pipeline. Yep. And of course he's not going to go out there and give all the secrets away. But I got to say in defense of Sony, Sony doesn't need to sit back and go like, whoa, shit, we better talk about the Neo. You know, last I checked, they've sold more systems, so they're not worried about that at this point in time, right?
Right.
They're worried about the games, which they don't have.
Right.
That's what. If I was at Sony right now, I'd be panicked. I mean,
I disagree with you there, Jay, because this gen has showed that exclusives don't matter as much as they used to. It's all about multiplats and the marketing deals. I think as Sony, I think they're well aware of the fact that they only have Last Guardian and Gran Turismo, right? But like last holiday, even though Microsoft had Rise of the Tomb Raider and Halo and all those games, and Sony just had what was their game last year? Oh, it was just an Uncharted collection.
Uncharted collection, yeah.
They handily beat Microsoft. I don't think they're worried at all.
Because of a fucking sticker on a.
I understand that. That's
Battlefront and
yeah, but I got to bring up a few different names here. I mean, you've got Gears of War 4 launching. Which, if you remember, that's not a small franchise. That thing pushed the Xbox 360 through the roof. That's that thing's a juggernaut. And if they
more so than Halo, though.
I mean, Halo 5 is really not a great game to me. I'm just unfortunately.
Well, I mean, your personal opinion aside, what do you think is the bigger franchise, Halo or Gears?
I think that they're pretty even now. I mean, I think that Halo is. The steam in Halo is run out a little bit, based on the fact that it's been around.
If I could say something here about the whole Halo thing, and I definitely, I respect Jay. I respect your opinion, no doubt. I think what happened with Halo is with the transition from Bungie to 343, Halo, the franchise took a hit. All right, nobody knew what to really expect from 343. They came out with Halo 4, which I thought had the best story, like the most emotional story I've seen in the Halo franchise. But they tried to cater to FPS, people who play different FPSs and not really Halo when it came to the multiplayer side. I feel that got kind of switched up with Halo 5, and they really doubled down on the multiplayer. But with the active users, the active players on Halo 5 playing the multiplayer and stuff now, I think the Halo franchise itself has rebounded. I think the Halo community has more faith in 343 moving forward. But I would definitely put Gears and Halo kind of like on that same pedestal, just for the fact that Halo really did take that hit with that transition.
Yeah. But you have to also remember too. The whole lock situation, kind of replacing Master Chief, was a big turnoff.
That's not going to happen for a while.
Let me say this as a person.
Give your take on the Neo too.
I will, but I just the Halo Gears thing real quick. I prefer Gears, but there is no way that's a bigger franchise than Halo. For one thing, the Gears online community is balls to the wall. Those are the hardest of the fucking hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, the casuals need not fucking apply. They go in that game, get their ass kicked, and leave. Halo, casual, you know what I mean? That they can play it, they can still have fun. There's so much stuff you can do, Forge and, you know, firefight and stuff like that. So I will say I agree with Xbot. Halo 4 had the best story out of all the Halos. Halo 5 has the best multiplayer, and I think that the retention of the fans, the fact that this thing sold over 5 million copies in 3 months, 450 million in the first week. So I would disagree that the franchise is lagging. I would say that the franchise that has more to prove at this point would be Gears, and I'm a bigger Gears fan because it's coming off of Judgment as the last game.
Yeah.
So they have a lot more, in my opinion, to prove than Halo. I think if 343 comes out and does a fantastic campaign like they had in 4 and 6, and they do multiplayer like they did in 5, man, that's going to be the fucking best. I wouldn't be surprised if that would sell 15 million.
That game's going to explode in your hand if they do that.
Let me do this, and I'm going to kind of set the volleyball up for you because I want Jay to hear. I like your spin, Crap, and I want Jay to hear it. Here's the thing about the Neo that I want to get back to for a second. Crap has a spin, Jay, on it about the 1080p, and I think this had something to do with the whole Phil Spencer's plan of attack, not only in being the great gamer that he is and more in tune with the community. That you're going to get all head nods agreeing with you on this panel. We all speak to Phil. Phil always answers back tweets. He's just in tune with the community for sure. They tune into these podcasts. Phil was at the TXR podcast with South Rand and Maka just a few weeks ago when Aaron guest starred. So, Crap.
Sorry. You know, I just got to say something.
No, go ahead.
The difference between Phil and any other executive is Phil fucking plays video games.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need at your company. If you're going to make a fucking system, the guy talking about it better be able to play it.
Yes.
You know, and you know what? And he's very, very critical.
Yeah, he is.
While he's playing video games, too.
Well,
No,
you know what,
totally,
Southbound? He's really put you said this, South. I learned this through you because you hung out with Phil a lot. He's all about consistency and time. So if you're one of these, that's why that Phantom Dust got scratched, Jay, because Phil said, where's the product? He went in, checked it out, and it basically wasn't ready. And they said, we need more time. And he said, I'm sorry, I'm not allowing you more time. You know what I mean? You gave me a deadline, and I'm not going to allow this to happen to the franchise.
Mooch, I got a story for you, but real quick. So
go ahead.
I was told that like the Adam Boyes departure, it's kind of a hit for Sony because he actually is a gamer like Phil.
Yeah.
Whereas all the top brass at Sony are literally just suits. They don't even know what video games are outside of the fact that they run PlayStation. They don't play video games, period.
Yoshida
like
does,
House,
but I know House doesn't.
Sean Layden, like none of those guys fucking pick up video games. They all think it's like a dirty word. And that's why Adam Boyes was kind of front and center making the deals because he's known in the developmental community as a gamer, just like Phil is.
Yes.
So the difference is you have the head of Xbox, because I mean, let's face it, Matrick was let's not even go there. But Phil is a gamer.
Thank you.
Phil's a gamer at heart. Well, then you have the head of Sony or North America, whatever. He's just like, what's a video game?
Yeah, no, actually, and that's actually useful information. And to tell you the truth, did I know that before the story? No. Did I know that kind of now in my head? I'm thinking to myself, when I see these, Sean Layden, you look up there, I mean, he has no idea what he's talking about. I mean, he got up on stage and he talked more about the orchestra that they hired than the video games. But Crap, I wanted you to mention, you've mentioned in a couple videos, we've talked about it offline. Jay, the one thing I think that we have to take out of this is that the narrative has now changed. Crap, I'll let you take it because it really is your shtick.
Are you talking about the Neo or what?
Yeah, now we're seeing a lot less of resolution talk since Phil mentioned Scorpio.
So
it's
the
it's like the digital foundry is like, what is a T-flop? The thing we've been touting this whole generation long. Didn't really mean anything.
They did a video where they're like, T-flops don't matter, pixels don't matter, but yes, the PS4 is more powerful than the Xbox One. So they get that in the same conversation. But here's the thing, right? Like, it was a brilliant move on Phil Spencer's part. You announced the S. That's going to be the console for the main people. Anybody that thinks that Scorpio is going to be the one that's going to sell to the masses, like, in droves is probably a little bit insane. It's going to be a high price point. It's going to be for people that really want that 4K or that VR.
It's going to be for us. Everybody on this panel.
On this panel.
Yes.
On this panel.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be like $600 for that.
Hey, it could be. But here's the thing: when you announce that you're going to have a machine that can do 4K native coming,
Hey Jay, let me get a hold of your PR guy because I want one sent to my house.
If you're in Canada, I can make it happen.
well, here's the thing: when you announce you have a 4K native machine coming out next year, how can anybody hype up a slight difference if you have a 1080p over 900p right now and not look like a total fucking hypocrite next year when you're going to get blown out of the way comparing 4K native to 1080p native? Right. You know what I mean? There's going to be, and basically that has ceased all that talk. Like you saw people, like even Digital Foundry when they were running that Battlefield 1 resolution test, and the Xbox One version was 720 and the PS4 version was 900. They said, "Oh, the Xbox One version looks great." I mean, they hardly even fucking mentioned the difference. You know what I mean? If that had been last year, it would have been like, "Holy shit, the sky's falling, 720p still on the Xbox One." Can you believe?
Well, you know what? The narrative now is with a lot of the Sony guys is they're saying, "Oh, well, we're gonna have the Neo for 14 months before Scorpio even comes out." So everyone's all happy about something that's gonna come out for not for another year, so we're gonna have all this power, and then what's gonna happen? So they feel like they got a head start.
Yeah.
But this kind of goes back to what I was saying when we started this conversation, is that the Neo to me seems lost in translation, because why would you buy a Neo when you know that Neo is going to compete against Scorpio? Jay, you said it yourself. I don't know if you meant it that way, but you said those two are going to be, whether they're considered next generation or just upgrades to this generation, that's another debate. And that's fine. I can even say either way you go, I'll agree with you. That's indifferent to me how you want to classify them. But the Neo is not going to be able to compete with the Scorpio. I mean, just with the numbers we have in print in front of us. Because listen, we made a big deal this generation to say 1.31 T-flops couldn't compare with the 1.8, right? Now, how can we say 4.2 is going to be okay and on par with 6.4? It's not. So, I mean, this is...
It's not even that's the more concerning point. The more concerning point would be that it looks like Scorpio is going to have 12 gigs of memory internal and is going to have a better CPU, where the Neo is using that same Jaguar CPU, just overclocked a bit, and the memory bandwidth that they're allowing is much, much less. Like, those are the things that are really going to hinder the Neo. Just like, as someone that's seen both the Neo documents, I mean, everybody's seen them now, but also the more recent, like, developer video with the the ICE team and stuff talk about it, and you got a checkerboard resolution this, and basically
everybody that was talking mad shit about Quantum Break, that's what they're gonna have to deal with.
Well, this goes back to what Rand was saying a few minutes ago when Rand said, I disagree with Jay. He said because it's more about the multi-plats. The thing is, though, once that these third-party developers all see that the Scorpio is that system of choice, that is the strength and the balls, if you will, it looks like that Scorpio would then become the lead platform starting. It would have to be starting almost now, because I think Phil said at the end of E3, we've sent kits out to our partners and developers that we talk to. People have this machine, or at least the major components of this machine, in their hands already. So, because a lot of this stuff's off the shelf, let's be honest.
Mooch, I don't know if you saw my video earlier in the week talking about Digital Foundry. They are already setting themselves up to swerve when the Scorpio comes out. They're talking about next-gen upscaling, like that 2x2 checkerboard and all this good stuff. And what's going to happen is when the Scorpio does come out, they're going to, and I'm kind of predicting the future here, they're going to flip-flop and they're going to be like, well, now you don't really need that native resolution because these new upscaling methods are just so amazing that it doesn't really matter anymore.
If you watch their comparison, when they built a machine that had the same performance that the Neo had, they were saying that 1800p was pretty good. That gamers wouldn't see a difference between that and actual native 4K. So they've already started talking about sub 4K resolutions being better than.
And I'm not a big overall resolution guy. I'm big into gameplay and graphics, textures and stuff. My bad, Drive.
Dude,
Go ahead, man.
Sorry, I got to say, if you see Horizon 3 in 4K, like I saw 4K footage of it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just.
Well, that's you're going up over double. You're doubling it up from 1080p at that point.
Yeah.
I was talking like with everything from this previous generation, people kind of hitting at the 900 compared to the 1080 or the 720 compared to the 900. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't really that big of a deal.
No, never was.
You know,
that, again, let me just say what that was. That was the media making a huge, a huge story,
yes.
And then basically, it caused the wars to start up. And
yes.
You got to keep in mind when somebody says something negative about your favorite system, then you're going to go out there, and that's just back and forth, and that's just views, and that's just monetizing a topic that doesn't even need to be talked about. Because remember, video games don't need to look spectacular to be fun.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
You know,
that's right.
So I mean, if a game is designed to look photorealistic, like fucking Horizon 3, then yeah, of course we're gonna have a discussion about how good it looks or how bad something looks in it.
Right.
But for the most part, video games aren't about that.
Well, I mean, it wasn't one of the complaints about Order 1886 was that it looked really good, but it was just a boring game to play, right?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that game does look spectacular, and it's like playing essentially a movie, a decent little movie, but it's not a video game in terms of like you're not going out there really doing much except shooting the same thing over and over, which people can argue me on that. They could say that's a video game. I could just say that's an interactive film. I think that both mediums are coming together, and it doesn't really matter what it is. Did you enjoy it? That should be the only question.
Yeah.
I mean, the Telltale games are pretty much interactive movies these days.
Well, that's where I was just going to go, actually, because I know a large portion of our audience loves hardware.
With that, though.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're very upfront that these are like point-and-click kind of games, whereas people thought that the Order was going to be something else. You know what I mean? Like that was their Gears of War killer.
Yeah, but that's just a bad PR move. That's a company not understanding what they're actually representing.
Right.
You know, if I work at a company, you best damn believe that I'm going to know this thing inside and out, and I'm going to make sure that when we release, marketing materials, I'm not saying that this is a Gears of War clone. I'm not saying that this is the most action-packed fucking thing since Uncharted 2.
Right.
I'm going to be saying this is the best interactive film experience you'll ever have on the PS4. If they spinned it differently, and they said, "Are you into classic films like, what is fucking
Jekyll and Hyde or what?
The classic like werewolf films and stuff." And if they had spun that game as like, "Hey, we're making this thing and it's heavily inspired by this, and this, and Hitchcock and classic horror, and it has elements that you can control," but no, they fucked it up because they showed this gameplay that, oh my god, it's supposed to be so fun and it's interactive. I'm shooting werewolves. Then you play the game, you do that once, and then you do it again the exact same way for fucking 8 hours.
Yeah.
So that's just
how do you get 8 hours out of it, man? I was like 4.5.
Yeah.
Shit.
I knew that was coming. Yeah.
I played like an hour and a half, and I was like, oh god.
So you gotta. I think that people aren't looking at the marketing materials and judging those in the light they should be judged. If you look at Horizon 3's trailer, which I've watched a million times, what are they showing you? They're not showing you like, look at how good it is online, and look at our amazing UI interface, and look at our amazing map and how big it is. No. They're just simply showing us what we need to see from the game that we want, and we already know we want that.
Yes.
There's some secrets up their sleeve, guaranteed they're not showing that yet, but when you watch that trailer, you're looking at fucking gorgeous cars in a gorgeous environment with gorgeous music, and that captures you. That's all it needs to do, right?
That's right.
So I'm talking about companies need to step up their game. Look at Mighty Number 9. What a fucking shit show in terms of PR that was. You know what I mean? If I worked at that company, I'm going to go to the roots of the company and go, listen, why are we making this game? Because we want to fill in the void for Mega Man. Okay, well then we should make PR that is sort of involved with Mega Man, not necessarily the license, but look at this, guys. Remember the Kickstarter videos? What did they have in them? They had fucking references to Mega Man, to the opening of Mega Man, to the dog from Mega Man, the bots from Mega Man. Think about this, guys. Everything in that was to play with our heartstrings, right?
Nostalgia's a hell of a drug.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And look at it. Millions of dollars, right? Then the game comes out. They got their money. They don't give a fuck about that anymore. They just go, here's our fucking piece of shit game that we made, that's horrible, and we're not even going to remind you that it was Mega Man because we fucked up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
so
right.
You got to look at these companies and why they do things, and sometimes they're smart about it.
Well, you know what surprises me, Jay? But what about the fact that that game, Mighty Number 9, that had some of the essential roots from the Mega Man world, didn't they?
Well, that's not the creator of Mega Man, first and foremost. People can confuse that a lot.
Well, aren't they even talking about a sequel already?
Yeah, I don't know. At this point in time, it doesn't.
I don't know. He goes.
To be honest, like I'm not going to go and read information about that because this is a company that fucked up. And at this point in time, why am I even going to go over there and talk to them or look at them and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Scorpio, the fact that, getting back to that topic, the fact that we know Scorpio's out is a play move. That's all it is. That's to get us excited because we're fans of Xbox, and that's all to get the Sony people asking questions about it.
Now,
what is that? Why,
but Jay, does that nudge the Sony people, like you said a few seconds ago when you gave an example saying Phil goes back to his lab? What is Sony's answer here? Are they just kind of stuck in bed with Neo for the next 2 years, and Microsoft will take the crown? Or
they've heavily endorsed VR, and the headset and the idea of Neo supporting the headset in different ways. That's something we haven't even seen in terms of the media yet. The headset works perfectly fine on PS4. I've used it. It works great. It's a little blurry. It's not the best headset you're going to ever have, but it's an experience that, I'll be honest here, I want to own in my house. It's awesome. It works. It's great. But in terms of it being, a higher resolution, in terms of it better frame rates and all of that stuff, guaranteed, guys, we're going to see, hey, Neo supports VR in ways that the PS4 doesn't, and that's why you need to buy it. And that's going to be a big push because VR actually is something that I consider the next evolution of gaming, not in terms of everything of gaming, but certain aspects of gaming are spectacular in VR. Like the idea of having a racing game in VR. Just sit back in here and think about this, guys, for 2 seconds. Scorpio, VR, Forza 7. Case closed.
Exactly.
Pass,
but
Jay, let me
you
ask
say
you
pass, but it is an experience. That's an experience.
It is, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not putting on a helmet and doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm just.
But let me ask you, how many of you use VR?
I
have not.
I never will.
So see, that's the thing. I'm not saying that you guys your opinions are shit to me, but I'm saying unless you've tried it and actually sat in the cockpit of a car racing down a street, you haven't had that experience yet. So until you actually sit back and put it on, maybe you will go, this is fucking horrible, this is stupid, I don't understand it. But dude, I'm telling you, if they can have a VR headset that is higher resolution than Sony's, and Forza 7 launches with that thing on Scorpio, I'm telling you, that thing will be a fucking system seller and a half.
So do you think Microsoft is building their own VR headset, or do you think
absolutely,
absolutely, even though they have some sort of partnership with Oculus?
Yeah, they have a partnership, which is just a partnership. That doesn't mean that they can't go out there and produce their own things. I mean, HoloLens is something.
Think if they were building their own VR headset, wouldn't you think we would hear rumblings about how? I mean,
well, listen to this.
HoloLens years out before that's even supposed to be even relevant.
Well, yeah, remember I said there's PR strategies, right? The fact that we even know about the Scorpio right now is spectacular. I don't even think that was a move that they wanted to do, but Phil, as a gamer, was like, they need to hear this. Do you think that if they had a VR headset, they're going to drop that information with the console at E3? Of course not. They got to hold out on that stuff.
No, I'm just saying that would have leaked somehow because Microsoft has a leak problem.
Well, that's debatable. I mean, to say that Microsoft has no VR headset in any regard would be ridiculous at this point.
Well, they have a million patents out for stuff, but I just think that I don't know. I hear people say, "Well, this is going to be the next thing," but then I realized that VR has already been out. Like really good VR has been out.
Yeah.
With Oculus and Vive for months.
The problem is it's hard to get into your hands, man. That's the real issue with VR at this point in time. Unless you've tried it, guys, I'm telling you, the moment you put this VR, I'll be honest with you guys, same thing as you. I thought, fucking headset on my head, ridiculous. I don't want to do this. It's fucking dumb. Then I sat down and tried VR, the Sony VR headset, and I was fucking blown away completely on what I experienced. And it's not a new experience in terms of video games. It's a new way of actually ingesting,
interacting with the game.
interacting new ways we can actually play these games.
Jay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So how long do you think that the casual PS4 owners will take before they realize, hey, the vanilla PS4 can't handle the PSVR, and they're gonna need to upgrade to the Neo?
Well, I'll tell you this:
the games start to run like shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this: all of the VR experiences are tuned to work on the PlayStation 4. They're not tuned to work on the Neo. They're all made to be games that can run on the current generation of hardware, and that's on purpose. Do they have lag issues? I don't think so. I played about 6 different demos on the floor, and all of them ran perfectly fine, and after about 2 minutes, the resolution issue goes completely away, and even though I didn't even have the headset set up properly, I still felt like I was sitting in that room. So that's all that matters, and the real issue here is actually getting people to try it, because most people are like, this is fucking ridiculous, but dudes, I'm telling you, if you could experience fucking Forza 7 with a good resolution headset, it would change your life. Like, it's fucking crazy, guys.
I agree with you. Now, Jay, here's my problem. I like to bring it back from just gaming down to dollars and cents. What we're talking about, when you were at E3, Jay, when you tried this out.
Well, I wasn't at E3.
What was it?
It was like something they had here for media.
Okay, when you sat down, though, you had the Primo Sony headset on. I don't mean the headset, the PSVR. I mean you had Sony earphones on. And
I had everything.
You had everything, right? That package that you sat down with, okay, the PSVR, the headset, the move sticks, the camera, the let's assume they have the PS4. You're somewhere in the $600 to $700 range. Now, to get back to Southbound's question, when is it when I'm in love with PSVR with my vanilla that I want to take this to the next level? Now I'm another $500 deep in for the Neo, so now I'm $1,200. The one thing you got to admit, Jay, we've talked about all the things we kind of stereotype with the corporate end of gamers. Let's talk about gamers themselves. They're cheap. Okay.
First, I would just wonder where's the killer app. Like,
that
you
too.
could say like racing, but I mean, like, if I want to like play Halo, but I don't think I'd ever want to play Halo in a VR experience. I want to play Call of Duty, but I don't want to play that in a VR experience.
I think they were hoping that Resident Evil was going to be that.
Yeah, but I think you guys are looking at it the wrong way. VR is not to replace your TV. It's not supposed to be like, hey, we're going to play Halo in VR. Could there be games that use it? Yeah, sure, but that's not what it's made for. It's made for interacting with different mediums within the genre. Like, when you put the headset on and you want to go to a movie theater and sit next to Mooch, on this, let's just pretend that we're getting it on Scorpio. If I go,
Mooch, we're going to the movies tonight, baby.
Yeah. If I go, no, honestly, guys, like, let me try to explain this.
Yeah.
VR isn't replacing video games. It's replacing the way that I interact with my video games. It's like I can go to Mooch and go, hey, let's watch the new whatever Batman movie that's out. He can be like, cool, we'll rent it together. It plays on a screen inside the VR headset, and I can't tell you guys enough that it feels like you're sitting in a theater. Now, if they do it properly, and I look to my right and I see an avatar of Mooch sitting there, whatever it may be, that's an experience, guys, that nobody's fucking had. And I'm telling you, when you actually sit down and put the headset on and understand, okay, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
To have
kind
this
of like
experience.
on the 360 when they had the parties and
exactly.
Well, I'll tell you the truth.
That's pretty cool.
Jay is speaking some truth. That I've mentioned a number of times on CrossFire and on Xbox Nation. I've mentioned that a couple of my friends have the $89 Samsung VR that you get with your phone. And I went up to him and I said, hey, so I said, I know you got that thing. I said, is it already collecting dust? He goes, well, no, actually. He goes, I don't really play the games on it. He goes, because, let's be honest, they're like mobile games, He goes, so that's kind of, but he said the one thing I do a lot is, I always say do again.
Do.
That's actually, sorry, that's Southbound.
What I do.
What I do is, he says, I at the end of the night, he says, whether it's my wife that's like, hey, I'm not in the mood to watch TV or anything like that, he'll put the VR headset on and he'll watch a movie. And now, of course, he doesn't have what Jay just said where he turns his head and I'm there. But when he moves his head left and right, he's in a theater and he says, I'm watching it. And he goes, I got to tell you something. He goes, it's neat. And I've done it at least a half dozen times now. Yeah. And he goes, I've only owned it for a little over a month. So, I mean, I guess that You know, and listen, everything's eye-opening, and I never like to say never. I think Crap makes some very good points. I'm not going to sit here and just head nod and just agree. What I'm agreeing with Jay is trying to open my eyes wider to get this thing that I haven't experienced yet. But what Crap's saying is, why do we want to put $1,200 out of our pocket?
Hey, let me tell you
killer
why.
app.
Let me tell you this. Let me just say it, bottom line, what VR is. You remember when you were a kid and you're in the forest with your friends and you got fucking those pirate, you know, shitty little swords and you're doing your adventure?
Yeah.
I can now do that with Mooch as an adult in my living room with nobody around, and I can be in that environment. I can be put into any environment and feel like I'm actually sitting there. And there's other applications that we haven't even talked about. But another thing I just wanted to bring up, Mooch, you're playing Forza 7, you're doing an amazing job, you're driving.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in the fucking passenger seat with you in my VR headset, and I'm going to go and just ride around with you. That's
awesome.
Yeah, I can't stress it enough, is an experience that you have to actually try before you start knocking it. I understand it's easy to knock it. It's so easy to knock it and say, this is fucking ridiculous. I don't want to spend the money. I'm telling you, I can't remember a moment in time. Like, I remember when I saw Mario 64, and it blew my mind. I thought, it's 3D, it's like fucking stealth, and it just blew my mind. I've never had an experience like that since I tried VR.
I will say this, Jay, and I want to say, someone I respect. I did a Ladies of Gaming show on the channel, and Delilah, who's definitely, I believe she's listening tonight. Shout out to her. She talked to me offline, and she says same thing you just said, Jay. She goes, Mooch, I know your stance on VR, but she goes, she owns Oculus. She has it in her home. She's like, the reason you don't see me on Xbox so much is she's like, I'm on my PC playing Oculus. She goes, I'm telling you, it's an oh shit factor that I can't put into words.
Yeah,
and I said, really?
And
she's not a bullshitter. She's just not a bullshitter. She speaks.
Like, okay, what do you?
Let's
just go out throughout the panel really quickly. What are your favorite games? And let's see if VR could even apply to that.
I'll start first. I mean, I'm a huge first-person shooter and third-person. I'm that Gears Halo guy. And yes, I have a warm spot in my heart for the the Horizon series. I mean.
Yeah. So obviously a racing type game. This thing is perfectly designed for it.
Yes. Now, what about like Destiny's a bad example. What about like where you're a third person? You would be that
individual. Lords of Shadow, because I was going to say that, man. That's one of my favorite games.
That's the one issue with VR that you can't play a first person, third person shooter because you actually have to run around, and when you hold the joystick, it makes you sick as a dog. You're like, what the fuck? Your brain interprets you moving while you're actually not moving. Now, it's mostly about situations that you can walk around in, right? Like
so slowly or inspecting like puzzle games or mystery games.
Like I tried the Vive and there was this dungeon game. And I'm telling you guys, it looked like fucking a Pixar movie. I can't say it was photorealistic, but I'm telling you this. There's a moment where I tried it down in Toronto. You can pay about $20 to try all this VR shit. And there's this moment where, I mean, I can't tell you what it is. Like, you remember the first, I don't know if you're fans of like E.T. or any of those classic Spielberg magic movies. You remember let's just be childish for a second here. Remember when you saw that shit and you went outside with your friends and you pretended that E.T. was there, or you pretended you were in Star Wars.
Dude, I put Reese's Pieces out my front door to try to get.
So there you go. That's what I'm saying VR is. VR is that magic, that gaming. I'm not just saying gaming. I'm saying entertainment, and that's a broader statement. Entertainment hasn't had since the 80s for us, and we go back to that when you put on the headset. When you're all of a sudden standing in a fucking dungeon and there's a giant skeleton coming at you, you're fucking 13 again, man, and you get emotions that, brought me to tears almost, because I was playing something that I always dreamt about doing as a child. I thought, if I could ever go into these worlds, and it's like being in the Matrix, it might not be photorealistic, but I'm telling you guys, man, there's experiences in there that make VR way worth it. And I'm telling you, a lot of people that are just console bound right now will jump ship and go into the best VR that's out there.
Well, there you go. Now there's my next question then, I think, Jay, for you is, are we there now, or what? And let me tell you something, by the way, you are one hell of a PR guy. Someone should hire you, by the way.
That check from Sony's going to clear any minute now.
Yeah, he did. That was awesome. That was fantastic.
No, I'm just, remember I told you I know a lot about PR and that stuff. And actually, I can't say where, but I have an interview coming up and I might actually leave YouTube to go work at a very I might go work at a very big video game company.
That would be very cool. I'll send my resume.
But yeah, in PR, I'll for sure. If it's Xbox, I'll get you in there for sure.
Absolutely.
But again, that's the only way, guys, I can explain it to you. It's an experience like the magic out of a Spielberg film. It fucking will change your life for a moment, but it won't make you forget about your love for Halo. The franchise and playing in first person on a TV.
It just seems gimmicky to me.
Exactly.
It's not.
I'm down with all that, but my whole thing is I'm not gonna spend like $1,200 just for something I'm gonna play for like 10, 15 minutes at a time. It's gonna wear on me. You know what I mean? I won't play it enough to justify the price.
Here's what I'm envisioning from what Jay just told us. You guys remember going to Epcot Center as a kid, or when you went to Disney World and you saw I went into what was the Michael Jackson 3D thing. It was a big deal in the 80s. Okay.
Hope he didn't touch you.
No, it wasn't that interactive.
Captain EO.
Now that action I'd avoid.
You're talking about Captain EO.
Yes, it was. That was it. And I remember walking out being like, holy shit, this is a hell of an experience. But then, even when I would go to movies later on in life, I still sometimes prefer to go see a movie not in 3D because I don't want the glasses on. I want to kind of enjoy. So I think I get where Jay's going with this, and I appreciate the eye-opener in a sense. It doesn't mean I'm going to go spend $1,200 day one. But, I mean, it is. I enjoyed that for its interaction with what a movie theater used to be and what it can be. Like Jay said, I think this is kind of information for me to take, and me and Crap have always talked about this, is that Jay's saying, I'm not saying be pro VR and stop enjoying the Halos, the Gears, and all the games. No. That's not going away. This is an addition to.
So I'm just gonna say to barge in here for 5 seconds. It's I think when you consider the VR, when you want to buy one, you have to look at what they offer you, and then you have to weigh the pros and cons with that. But the only game I think that would work for me in VR right now is Elite Dangerous. That's the only game I think would be great in VR right now.
Elite Dangerous or a No Man's Sky almost.
But Dryer, even still, and trust me, I definitely respect what Jay says. I was even saying in the chat, I was like, man, I hope this dude follows me on Twitter. I love talking games with you, Jay.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, no doubt. Dude, I can see what you're saying about the experiences. VR is going to have experiences, but I can also agree with Crap. It still feels gimmicky to me. I don't think it's going to get that. I don't think it's going to...
I know exactly... Sorry to cut you off, dude.
Okay.
But I know exactly what you're saying. You're saying, okay, I get it. There's this, I put this headset on and I'm in this world, and that's cool, and then I take it off, right?
Mm-hmm. I just don't think it has the legs to go where these companies feel it's going to go.
See, but until you actually do it, the experience is like a fucking drug. I'm telling you this.
But I've heard people. I've seen people that have played it and say it's bad. I got sick, or I got a headache.
But that's understandable. Those are people that actually did get sick and they got a headache out of it. But the people who don't get a headache out of it, I could go down a list of people. A Happy Console Gamer who's been playing games for 25 years said VR is the next fucking evolution of gaming. I put it on. I say it's the next evolution of gaming, but not to the extent of it replacing a console. I'm just saying that until you guys actually sit, it's hard to explain. Let me just take a wild guess. Crap Gamer, let's just pretend, dude, that you've always wanted to go to Ireland. You've never been there. You just always have wanted to go there. I'm telling you, dude, there's a thing I played, and you put this headset on, and you're sitting in a fucking field in Ireland. You're just looking, and that's all you're doing. And that alone changed everything for me. I thought, this is not just a piece of equipment that has entertainment value. To me, dude, I'm talking about meditation now. I'm talking about I can go and sit on top of a fucking mountain in a snowstorm and feel like I'm on that fucking mountain.
There is something to that.
Yeah, and I'm saying that
if you're gonna go to Ireland, you're gonna have a strongbow with Jamie Moran.
Yeah, there you go.
I just pictured crap in a field in Ireland, though. Is that bad?
Well,
Like,
no, I'll tell you
it's
something, right? Like back when that movie Avatar came out, right?
Yeah.
I had some friends that were like, "Oh my God, it's life-changing. Go see it in the 3D. It's the best thing ever." And then like everybody was like 3D, and it's the gaming 3D, and play Uncharted 3 in 3D. It's gonna blow your mind. This is the next evolution. And then like now 3D is dead
in the water. But I gotta say this, that is because it's not an experience like VR. Like VR is called virtual reality for a reason. It's not just like a gimmick. Like you put on your headset, you're gonna feel like you're in this room. I'm talking about games like fucking. I played this game called Kitchen, made by Capcom, where it's simply just you sitting in this disgusting rundown kitchen, and these serial killers are sort of walking around you, and they have knives. And I've never experienced anything like that, man. Like, it's the freaky, like, for survival horror, I'm telling you, man, in VR, it's fucking scary as hell. Like, it scared the shit out of me. And then they come into the room with these giant axes, and dude, I'm telling you, the depth of field on the VR that I played at Sony was fucking incredible to see. She held this weapon out, and she put it right in my eyeball, basically, like not in it, but right in front of it. And I can't stress this enough. I flinched. Like, I thought I was going to be fucking cut by this thing. And when you move back, it moves in real time, and the depth of field is there. It's blurry like it should be, or if you get closer to it, it comes into focus. I'm telling you guys, like, it's even though it's like a 2-minute experience, just to experience that and be able to do that, like just to be able to go into pretend that the chat room on Scorpio is in virtual reality. We all pick our different VR avatars.
Yeah.
I am telling you guys, it'll change the way we actually interact with our system.
There's got to be a lot of truth to what Jay's saying, and I'll tell you why, crap. When Phil was on stage at E3, he made it very clear that VR was a big, big part of Scorpio.
Yeah, he did. My issue with VR, and I've always been the one on the podcast to say, like, I don't take a stance on VR because I haven't tried it yet, so I don't like to form an opinion on something I haven't tried, you know?
Yeah.
So I haven't tried VR, but my issue is the legs on the device. Like, I'm looking at it like for PlayStation and Xbox, let's say they do one like you think they will, right? Is that accessories to systems, add-ons, never do well. And this would be a expensive add-on to it, right? So I look at it as more like, okay, it's $500 or whatever it's going to be. Yeah, some developers are working on it, but not the top-tier developers that you would like, right? They're all kind of maybe smaller indie games or mid-tier ones making kind of like the Connect Sports or Wii Sports. They're 20-minute demos, right? Like you even said, like it was a 2-minute demo, but it was amazing. But is that worth $500 to buy? So my issue is, like, if I'm going to purchase this, assuming I like it, because this would be something I would need to try out before I drop $500 on. Like, a console's a different story. You know what you're getting with the console. You know that's going to be supported for X amount of years. You know that the games you like to play are going to be on it. It's a no-brainer. VR is a completely different beast. I don't know if I'm going to like it, so I need to try it out before I purchase it. But it's like, okay, look at Kinect. Kinect, yeah, it sold well out of the gate, but there's essentially nothing good to play. And then right now, as of 2016, it's fucking dead in the water. It's a peripheral that's not supported anymore by developers. So my worry is that, you know, everybody's hyping up VR. You got Oculus, you got Vive, you got Sony's, your potential Microsoft thing. My worry is that it's too expensive for the casual gamer to make it a success, so that the hardcore that buy into it, eventually down the road, because it doesn't sell as well as it needs to, that it just will be another failed add-on. That's my issue with the potential of VR.
Let me try to explain it this way. Let's say the panel's all going out to dinner, and we go to a really good barbecue place, and all of us want to eat fucking amazing ribs and steaks, right? VR, let me just say this. Kinect is hot dogs compared to steak. In terms of VR, like, if you're comparing those two things, I think that's a mistake to say that, like, let's pretend that VR is anything like Kinect is, and saying that it's an accessory. I would say it's less of an accessory, and it's more of an experience that you're buying into. You're not buying into this device that's going to sit there and do all of these options. You're buying into the gateway of what virtual reality is. And if it works for you, I'm telling you, you would actually pay that amount of money instantly. If you saw some of the things that
right, but if there's nothing to play on there because nobody else bought into the system, because I mean,
let me
not going to make games for VR if nobody has VR.
Okay, let me just say this.
That's my issue with it.
Let me just say this then. As somebody who's been a gamer for my whole life, right? Let me just say this: if I can go into a room and just talk to Mooch in VR.
Yeah.
And watch a movie on a wall or whatever the hell we're doing in this, or playing a game of chess in VR, I'll pay $700 for that headset right now. I'll do it right now just to be able to play virtual fucking chess, because it changes your perception of what you're doing. Like,
yeah, that's where I'm kind of opening my ears and my mind
to.
That's
what I'm saying. Like,
Mooch is getting VR confirmed.
I'm saying
listen, crap. We've all got to roll with the punches, and I'll tell you the thing is this: you do have to look at it in this. I've not talked to anybody that told me these experiences. All I've got is the same things you guys all see, which is the media clips of like somebody playing Office Simulator.
Well,
that doesn't
I asked
interest
people
me.
like Jez. He's like, hey, it's cool, but it's not something that I'm gonna like.
Yeah, Jez, shout out to Jez who's listening.
Yeah, but it's not going to speak to everybody. Let me just say
well, that too.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing as Xbox doesn't speak to everybody. Not everybody loves it. They love Sony for whatever reason.
Right.
VR is for the people who want that magical experience like they had when they were kids. They want to go into a fucking dungeon and battle a fucking skeleton in front of them. You can do that now. I'm not saying it's the best experience that you're going to have in terms of like a AAA title that's going to last 3,000 hours. I'm talking about a simple experience. I put on a headset. I'm going through a fucking dungeon, battling a skeleton with a sword in my hand, and in my right hand I've got a torch that's actually interacting with the environment. So when I move my hand, the light changes in the room. I'm talking about that experience there. That experience alone, even if it was a 5-minute demo that played over and over and over, and it had real-time events that were scripted, I'd still pay $1,000 to do it.
Well, no, yeah, what you're talking about is like people were saying, hey, I like that Batman VR game that's on PlayStation VR, where it's just an experience. You're Batman suiting up or whatever, right? So like,
yeah, I mean,
some people might really be into that, but. You know what I mean? Like, I can definitely see where it's not for everyone. I don't know. I'd love to fast forward and see where this stuff is like a year or two from now.
Okay, you know what? Let me just bring this up. Do you guys like roller coasters?
No.
Yes.
Anybody really like roller coasters?
Only ones that go upside down. I only like looping stuff.
No.
It's
Okay,
a vomit simulator.
It's like those. I'm trying to sell it on the fact that it's an experience you can only have if you have tried it. Like if you haven't been on a roller coaster, you'd be like, that looks scary, that's fucking whatever. But you don't know how you'll actually feel until you get on it and you're being fucking tossed around.
But isn't that the marketing problem with VR? Is like when you have to say, oh, well, you can't have an opinion on this because you have to try it first. You're already saying like that's a problem to me, and I get what you're saying. Like yeah, that's why I don't have a position on VR either way.
Well, that's why Sony is in every fucking EB Games right now setting up VR headsets.
Yep.
And that's why there's lineups out the door to try it, because people are like, what is this? I don't get it. And I'd say about 80% of the people that sit down and try it are fucking blown away. Like, there's women I know that have played it, that like a horror game, they can't actually even play it because it's so real. Like to them,
Outlast 2 would be amazing in VR.
Yes.
Like a horror game, like if you're completely immersed in that, would be absolutely amazing. That's the one thing I would want.
I played the fucking Paranormal Activity one. Dude, I've never been in that situation before. Like, you're just in a house, you're just looking around, and things just start moving. And dude, I'm telling you, you have the proper headset on, headphones on with the sound blasted. It's designed awesome, man. So like when you hear a sound in the other room, it's not just cheaply made, man. It's like you hear the sound in the other room, and because it's that experience, you feel like there's another room there. So
right,
like,
and that's all sounds amazing, but at some
terrifying.
At some point, the price becomes a huge deterrent for a lot of people. Like, let's assume you're right about Microsoft making their own VR headset, right? That they're going to launch with Scorpio. So let's say at the lowest end, Scorpio's $500, and Microsoft comes up with a $500 headset. That's $1,000 to buy into that, which is, I think, way out of the price of most people, like 90% of gamers out there.
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this, guys. How many of you out there own Xbox One?
All do.
How many of you? How many
Multiple.
of you? Look, how many of you own PS4?
I do.
Everybody
I
except
do.
me.
Okay,
don't.
how many of you bought a 360? How many of you bought a PS3? How many of you bought Vita? How many of you bought fucking...
All of them.
I bought all of them.
Yeah.
Vita, ugh.
Okay, so
I did. I bought a Vita.
I don't think money, has anything to do with this. Everybody can complain right now it's so expensive, but we all know the price will go down eventually. Well, I'm sitting here, obviously, I mean, I'm lucky enough to get this shit for free, but I'm sitting here looking at thousands of dollars of equipment that give me an experience.
Yeah.
And if the experience is worth something to you in terms of your heart, then the price point really does not matter. If you're going to be a gamer, you're going to be a gamer. Look at all of us. We own 2 systems. That's fucking ridiculous. Why do we need 2 systems in front of us when they essentially do the same thing?
I don't know, guys. Why do you need 2 systems? I just have one. I'm perfectly happy.
I know,
with that.
guys.
I have one.
But what I'm saying
For other
here is,
rooms, different rooms.
that's what I'm saying, though, guys. Like, we're gamers, man. This is another offering for an experience that you might hate. You might absolutely put it on and go, this is fucking stupid. I don't understand why anybody would spend any money on this. But, again, I'm sorry to say this again, but until you actually try it, I'm not saying you can't.
I wish we had this conversation about a month and a half ago. I walked into GameStop with my son. We were picking up a game. And I know the manager there, Sean, and he says to me, he goes, you want to try out? They had the center, only about like 10 GameStops in the Northeast got it. Ours had it. The whole center of the store was set up for the Vive, and it was about 8:30. They were closing at 9. He goes, do you want to try it? And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, there was a lot of people in there, and I'm like, I have my son here. I'm not going to put a headset on, get immersed in something, and not be able to see my son. You know what I mean? I'm not going to leave him just here. So I said, I'll come back another time, and I didn't go back. So now I'm kicking myself. I didn't try. He goes, really? He goes, he goes, go ahead. I'll let you go next. You can go. I'm like, I'm not leaving my son here where I can't see him. So I'm like, no. But like now, I wish this conversation literally happened. I would have went back the day after and checked it out. I haven't tried it out yet.
In closing, for me, I just got to say, guys, like, I'm not saying that VR is like this fucking revolution that's going to change gaming. I'm saying it's a revolution in terms of just experiencing life, because you could do things in VR that you could never do unless you were loaded. I'm talking about
that's the
a
thing.
lot of cash.
And I do want to say something here. So here's the pros and cons from Mooch's seat, okay? I still stick with my same cons with, I think for gaming it could still be a fad. But Jay kind of opened my eyes to these real-life situations.
Other utilities.
Yeah,
there's one thing I just didn't bring up. There's a reason why they keep calling it VR experiences and not games. There's a reason why it's called VR and not virtual gaming headset. It's because it's not selling us on gaming. I'm saying that in gaming, in the applications of gaming, it'll, like in a fucking first-person horror game, it'll blow the socks off of anything. Like, you could put up Resident Evil 4 on a GameCube, and I could love that game 10 out of 10. But if you put me into that fucking virtual reality version of that, I'll take it 9 times out of 10. Like, I'll go right to it. And in terms of a racing game, I played a racing game with it, and it's like being in the car. I can't explain it. It's changed the way I...
Did you use a wheel, Jay, or a controller?
There was a wheel with that.
Okay.
So you get the full experience. Like, you look around as you're driving, and when a car comes up to you and crashes into you, it's not the same as playing Forza on your TV, man. It's like, holy shit, a car just crashed into me. I'm gonna fucking die feeling. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's your body. You guys gotta look at it in a different way. It actually, until again, you gotta do it, man, because it fools your brain into believing you're in a room. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but everybody just close their eyes for a second and pretend to be in a dark basement. Close your eyes and just pretend it. You start to feel right now, just doing that, if you're afraid of the dark and paranormal, you start to feel a little nervous, right? You're like, I don't want to be down here. When you put that headset on, guys, it puts you into that fucking atmosphere. And you're in that room. And that's it. That's it. You're in that room.
Well, I just bought my tickets to Toronto, Jay. I'm coming tomorrow morning. So.
But what I'm saying, guys, is like, I want you guys to go all try it, and I guarantee 50% of this panel will be sold on VR after trying it. And
Jay, I will let you know, I am getting the Scorpio next year. My wife, Snaps, she wants an Oculus so bad. I really can't see the purchase, but you know how it is with the other half, man. Your other half, like when she starts talking about it, I know she's gonna drive me nuts until it happens.
Here's the reason I'm kind of, you guys watch these Hollywood, what do they call there? The kid with the blonde hair that goes and sees all the stars, and he tells them about somebody that died, and they're like, holy shit, how did you know about that? The mediums or whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm.
Jay tonight has been that for me, only for one reason. While he's telling me this, and I'm not talking about the game experiences either. I mean, yes, you've definitely convinced me that a horror, an Outlast type of game would definitely be amazing like that. But what you've kind of gotten me scratching my head going, holy shit, is the guy at work who's told me he's watched 6 movies on that piece of shit Samsung thing that comes with comes in a cardboard box. And then Delilah's really gotten into some real explicit like games that she's been playing on Oculus, and she said, Mooch, just because I did what you did. I go, Delilah, and we were off the air. I'm like, listen, it's not for me. I'm not gonna come home and put a motorcycle helmet on. She's like, you don't understand. I'm not telling you it's all. And Jay, I know you don't know Delilah like that. So the things you're saying. You've enthralled me to try it as far as the life experiences more than maybe the gaming experience. Because listen, I got news for you. Jay's in Toronto, Crap's in Florida, Rand's in Chicago. I got Southbound is in L.A. And then the best case, me and Xbot are somewhat close. We got Wire.
When we get it, I'll come down, hang out with you. We'll have a couple drinks and check it out. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm trying to. Well, my point being is that now we could actually, if you're listening to what Jay's saying, we could put these on and actually all be in the same fucking room. Apparently,
that's why Facebook bought Oculus, because I think they see that as like a potential future app.
Guaranteed.
When they bought it, that was my initial thing. Like, I thought like Facebook's looking at like, imagine being in a chat room but virtual reality with your friends and stuff, or imagine instead of actually having to go to class or a college thing, just putting on the helmet and being there in the class. Like VR is like the ultimate what's the word I'm looking for? Like the ultimate
escapism.
It's fairy tale. Like it's the thing that as kids, like you watch like the Lawnmower Man. Yeah. Like I remember watching that and being like, holy crap! Like the idea of putting something on.
You're talking about that second life.
Yeah, like the being somewhere else and being it sounds fucking amazing. And
dude, I'm gonna tell you guys this now. If you're married out there and your wife's a gamer, and she gets her hands on that headset, it's all fucking over. The moment I'm telling you guys,
warning, man, I really appreciate that.
I'm telling you, the fucking moment that they put a virtual mall and she can walk around and simply click on items to get delivered to your house, you guys are all going fucking bankrupt.
It's all about that VR porn though for the guys.
That's where I thought Jay was going. He's like, you're married, and you're not getting it.
Because
that's another thing. But the bad part is, you know what I mean? You're gonna have this headset on and earbuds in, and you know what I mean, you can be handling your business. You don't know who's watching.
Well, Southbound, tell Jay that was the longest line at E3 was the what was it, Naughty America?
Yeah, when we were at E3, Maka took the Naughty America thing twice, 2 different days. He did the Naughty America demo.
And what did he say?
Oh, he loved it.
He wanted to fucking go buy a VR headset immediately.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's one fucking experience.
He walked just from one side of the one side with the biggest grin on his face to the other side. We walked outside.
See, that's what I'm saying, guys. That's one experience. Yes, obviously porn will be viewed completely differently when that thing comes out, but just if you sit back and you go, man, I always wished I could drive a car in Forza, you can fucking do that with this thing. You know, if I want to play a horror game, you could do that. If I just want to go sit on a mountain and chill out and listen to music and actually feel like I'm on a mountain, I'll turn a fan on and just sit on a mountain.
Yeah. I see what Jay's saying there, man, and it like Mooch said, like his eyes are opening to the other utilities.
No, the other thing is, listen,
100 years old.
Guaranteed, never.
Here's another thing I could sell it on. You remember when iPhone came out? Everybody has these.
I don't have an iPhone. I never
bought it. I think he means the flat, the touch screen phones.
Yeah, what I'm saying is when the interaction with the phone changed to being a touch screen, and now there's apps, and everybody has them, and everyone got locked into playing all the moms sitting at home playing the puzzle games and spending all the money that way. VR is the next evolution of watching television. It's the next evolution of coming home, saying, what do you want to do? I'm going to go hang out on a fucking mountain with Mooch. That's the next evolution of what you'll do when you come home. when I go biking in the summer, I like to actually go outside. However, I saw some technology that's mind-blowing. I could put a VR headset on, put my bike into this fucking weird contraption, and then go biking in the Alps, like in my living room, and actually be pedaling and having it control the bike with the way that I'm moving in my motion. That's the stuff that's gonna sell this, man. Like it is life changing.
I think Rand, to get back to your point then, because Rand made a hell of a point, and we know the way that game developers are, right? They always go to the highest denominator. So Rand's concern was in the gaming world only, Jay, forgetting the other experiences.
See, that's the thing, yeah.
Rand made a good point. If by some reason it doesn't catch on in the gaming masses, even if it's a success, but it doesn't pick up in the gaming masses, we may lose like some of the Ubisoft and all that. They're like, well, we're not making that anymore because it's not working. But that doesn't mean that VR won't pick up with Trek bikes or whatever company is like wants you to have these other experiences.
Just listen. Here's my theory. In 5 to 10 years, we're gonna everybody on this panel is coming home and going on Facebook on a VR headset. And
I don't even go on Facebook now.
I like the mobile analogy there. But just make sure you don't pick the VR headset that's like Windows Phone right now.
The thing about it, yeah, totally. That would be a disaster. But
hey, I love my Windows Phone, man.
I love my Windows Phone as well, but there's no goddamn apps.
They really do need to. Well, you know what? Let's change this to software. That was really great. No, that was a great segment. And I've had Jay. I sent you a tweet on Twitter. A bunch of like hardcore Xbox guys that follow me just said that you really opened their eyes and they didn't really think of it that way. I sent you a couple of tweets your way just so you can. They did. They're like, I can't believe I didn't think of it. Wait, crap. But you gotta understand something, crap. We are a tech. We're talking tech here.
I get it.
You did the same giggles with Scorpio, and now you're gonna be right behind me buying it. Listen, here's my point. Listen, my point is this. I think it is an eye-opening experience. Am I buying PSVR here? I'll go on there. Crap wants to hear me say it because everyone likes to take notes on what Mooch says. I'm not buying PSVR. Now, Oculus, Vive, Maybe, because that I think is where I think you've got. Here's the reason I say that, Jay. You're probably going, oh, come on, Mooch, here goes your fanboy shit again. I'm not. The reason I'm saying Oculus is Oculus and Vive, they have big boy money behind them. So in the event that the gaming thing doesn't necessarily propel it, I feel that Microsoft, the Amazons of the world, and Oculus is, of course, funded by Facebook. I mean, you've got big money to make sure you enjoy these other experiences that I put money into. So I feel more comfortable investing in Oculus.
I have to say as well, I would go with HTC Vive and Oculus as well because with those headsets, the community can contribute to the library easily.
Absolutely.
Because it's open source.
Yes.
Basically,
yes,
but with PSVR, it's basically a closed ecosystem, so it's a lot harder. If it dies, then you are stuck with a damn script.
Yeah, the thing for VR though on PlayStation is that that's not for hardcore gamers. That's experiences for mom and pop to get a VR headset for their son and play Batman the adventure game on.
Right.
Vive and Oculus, those are big boy things. That's a PC that's $2,000 minimum if you really want to get into the specs. And we're way off from that. I'm not saying VR is going to take over the world when Scorpio comes out. I'm saying that VR takes over the world in 5 to 10 years, guaranteed, no matter what. I'm saying that for sure. Are we going to have a day where we don't have a TV in our living room? No. We're definitely always going to have TVs. We're still going to be playing games on our TVs 20 years from now. But again, VR again is just going to change the way that we do life experiences. Yeah. Like he said, like going to school, being in a classroom. Again, it's very hard to sit there and try to pretend that you're putting this headset on and being in that atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I want you guys to at least experience that atmosphere vibe, and then you'll go, holy shit, I would pay $1,000 to have that in my house.
Hey, Jay, I got a question for you. So, you know how at QuakeCon they just demoed the Doom VR, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say, for whatever reason, Doom 2 comes out, and Doom 2 you can play in VR or regularly day one, and you got a review copy. Would you do 2 reviews of that game? One of like how it is to play it regularly, and then one how would it be played using
absolutely.
VR?
Yeah, I would do both. Absolutely.
You think it'd change that much? Like probably, right? Like
man, like you don't get it until you do it. Like to be in Doom would be a complete fucking nightmare. A lovely nightmare, but it would be unbelievable to do that. Like Fallout 4 is coming out in VR. I can't fucking wait to do that. That's just going to be insane.
Dude, so
now,
it doesn't run properly on the Xbox. That's what properly on the fucking VR headset.
Well, no, what I was going to say was, how are they going to do that, though, Jay? When you said that, first, third-person shooters are really hard for VR to capture right now, how is Todd Howard and all those guys working to kind of get Fallout 4 to work on an Oculus like that?
Well, basically how it works... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. It's probably just going to be basically, you have the choice between first person and third person in Fallout. So probably it's just going to be first person that way.
Yeah, I know all about it already. It's first person only, and if you've ever had the Vive or you know how the Vive works, it's probably best to play it on that because it has a room that's set up. So you know that Fallout is mostly a lot of walking around, and then you stop in a situation and fire your gun and walk around a little bit, right?
Yes.
It's perfect for VR because you don't do a lot. It's not run and gun. It's not Call of Duty. It's precise movements. Like, hey, I got to look down and pick up this weapon and then shoot it, or I've got to look at the shelf and pick up some shit off the shelf. I think it'll be difficult to get into, but once you get over the hump of being like, I can only walk a certain distance and then I have to point my controller at the ground, it's very hard to explain. But until you're in it, it's basically like a point-and-click adventure. You click on the ground, and it moves the whole environment for you. Right. So you could physically walk, but in your living room, you're going to walk into your wall. So what it does for you is it actually has a point-and-click thing where you can point on the ground in the virtual reality space, and the world moves for you.
So kind of like when you're in Google Maps and you go further down the street by just clicking down.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's less motion. It's more like you stand on a spot and you can walk around maybe a 10-foot square in your living room, and you're in that environment, but you can't walk out of the 10-foot square. You have to move it like Google Maps.
Huh.
But it works like that dungeon game that I tried. It works that way, right? So in the dungeon game, you come out of the sewer thing and you're standing there, and I'm like, well, fuck, I can't walk too far. But then he's like, no, I'm listening to him. He's like, no, point at the ground and click the thing. And I did that, and you get teleported sort of to the next section. So it's like a point-and-click adventure, but you also have your movement. And I know what people are going to say right now, well, I want to be able to run around and have fun with it. That's not what virtual reality is. So if you're looking for that experience, just stay on your television.
Well, Jay, you have to be kind of giddy thinking about this, right? So you're telling me you enjoyed thoroughly what you saw on the vanilla PS4. You've got to be giddy at what the Oculus or whatever Microsoft has what they're working on with what Scorpio is going to do.
I'm going to say this right now. I've played all of them, and the VR headset on Sony's system, the resolution is like looking at a fucking iPhone 1. It's you put it on, and it's here. But here's the thing. I'll explain it. You put it on, and you get about 2 seconds of your eyes going like, what the fuck am I looking at? Then your body's like, holy shit, you're in this room. Then your ears start to go, okay, I'm in a room. Then your mind is like, okay, I'm in this room. But your eyes are still like, well, I have blurry vision. Now, the way to explain it is, if you have glasses or not, like, let's just pretend you got knocked in the head, you got blurry vision, and you're looking around, you're like, oh, and then it comes into focus. Yeah. That's exactly what the headset did. After about 30, 40 seconds, my eyeballs sort of realized, okay, you're in this room now, but it's like it's pixelized. But all of a sudden, your brain tunes that out. Like, it's very hard to explain. You don't see the pixels anymore. You just see what you're meant to see, and that's a camera in front of you and a fucking sink that's running to your right and a broken window, and it's like really dark, and the light above you is like swinging. You totally overlook the fact. Yeah, you get so immersed that you overlook the fact that it looks like shit. Like, I'll be honest, it looks fucking horrible. Like, I put it on and I thought, is this how it's supposed to? He's like, yes, that's how it looks. Just keep playing. And after 2 minutes, after 2 minutes, guys, you don't even remember it looked like shit.
That's interesting. That's really, really something.
Stop looking at the pixels. Just play the game.
Yeah, basically. I mean, It's like Minecraft. Like at first you start playing it, you're like, this is fucking Lego, whatever. And then 20 minutes into it, you forget you're looking at pixels and you're building houses.
That's a great analogy. And I mean, I'm stuck watching.
I think I'm the only Minecraft person like on this page.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm a huge Minecraft fan. So
I'm not. And listen, maybe Jay, I can get you on Xbox. My son plays 2.5 hours a night. I mean, like, I'm not joking. So. I mean, but you're right. When he first turns it on every night, I look at it and I'm like, my God, why is my son in 2016 playing something that it made Contra look better, you know? And then all of a sudden, once he gets going and he's building the house and he's digging for minerals and this and that, and I all of a sudden, you're right. My eyes aren't focused on the pixels anymore. I'm looking at this huge world he's building.
But you're also looking at the experience he's having and the enjoyment he's getting out of the experience. And as he's playing, I can guarantee you, Mooch, if you ask him, what are you thinking in your head? Guaranteed he's got some sort of a story he's made up in his head that he's got to go build this thing because he's going to be killed by zombies and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he does. He's like, I got to get this wall done. See? I've got to build it twice as high because I don't want them to get in. Yeah, I mean, he's got a whole thing.
This is how I explain virtual reality perfectly now. You know how he's saying all that stuff in your head and he's imagining it and he's projecting that into Minecraft, right?
Right.
VR projects it for you. You no longer have to go, oh, I'm playing Forza, so I want to pretend that car is going to smash into me. I pretend that I know what it feels like, or I pretend that I know what the rubber feels like on the pavement as I'm turning.
Right.
In VR, all of the imagination you had as a kid and imagining all of those adventures, you actually get to just see it in front of you. You don't have to spend your mind memory on, oh, I wish I knew what it felt like to hear the sound of a dripping faucet in this room. You actually do hear that. So the adventure's in front of you, and it's less in your actual mind, and you're experiencing, and then that goes back to why it's called an experience.
Really great.
So what is your position on augmented reality then? Is it not as exciting for you because you're not in another place essentially?
Yeah. See, there's the two differences are this. Augmented reality, like the HoloLens, is for different applications that VR couldn't do because you need to be able to see through the screen, right? I'm going to say this outright. The video games that will be on the HoloLens are fucking bullshit. Those things I would avoid at all costs because they're just simple tech demos and like, look what we can do with it. We can augment reality a wall and then a ghost comes out of it. Big deal. What that is like I saw Minecraft demoed in that, and it's fucking spectacular. Like, Mooch, if you showed your son that and said, hey, go put that headset on, go look at the floor,
he'd lose his mind.
I'm telling you, Mooch, he would quit school. You'd have to pull him out of fucking school. Like,
you're right. He loves it. Yeah.
No, dude, he would lose his fucking mind. And I'm telling you, this goes back to us being all kids again. It's the same thing. Like, when we were kids, we watched E.T. on the big screen. We lost our minds. It's those experiences at that level that it's really what changes everything. You know what I mean? Like, when a new console comes out, all of us don't lose our minds as much as we did when we were kids about something that meant the world to us. Like, Star Wars means the world to me. When Episode 7 came out, I lost my fucking mind, right?
Yeah.
But when the new Xbox came in the mail, I'm excited. It's fucking awesome. The frame rate's way better. I'm going to use this system now, right? But I'm not sitting back going like, this is bringing me back to being a kid again, right? And even with Scorpio, I'm not going to sit back and be like, this is the best thing in gaming ever. It might just look a little bit better, it might have better features, but VR, like I'm telling you guys, is that next step of pulling at your heartstrings and bringing you into that experience that you're not going to get. Like, it's nostalgia wrapped into technology.
Well, that's kind of where I was. That's where I was kind of broken off, was that whole nostalgia. Because my analogy for VR was, let's go back to our childhood again, Jay. Remember, I don't know about you, but I spent many a weekends when arcades were still the cool place to be. I was in arcades with my friends all weekends long, and when we went in there, you remember way in the back, there was that one game system that came in. It was like a new thing there for 6 months. It had the sheet, you'd pull over it. It was $2 instead of just a quarter, or $1.25, whatever era you want to go back into, and it was an amazing thing to try out. But my thing was, is once I got immersed and I played it a few times, my whole thing here is that I didn't go back to it because I was like, okay, did that, been there. Like, let's say, Jay, I didn't meet up with you for 2 weekends. All of a sudden, you're like, Mooch, did you check out that new game system in the back? That thing's insane. It's a driving thing. You get, like, totally lost in it. I'm like, yeah, Jay, I played that for, like, the past 2 weeks you weren't here. Now I'm going back to Street Fighter 2 up here, in front of the arcade. I'm not doing that again. That was my concern with VR. That's been my shtick. It's just that once I do it, I'm afraid that I'm not going to do it enough on the regular. But what you've opened my eyes to is not just the gaming aspect of it, but that these other companies are going to come in and do these other things that kind of bring you to another part of life. Things like you said, I haven't been to Europe yet. I've been dying to get to Europe. Now you're telling me I can experience whatever it is. Maybe it'll be something in Italy. Maybe it'll be something somewhere. You can enjoy these things that you can do from your living room.
Hey, Mooch, if I can, Jay, I just want to say my wife's in the chat right now, and I got to thank you because she put in the chat that she can't wait to lose her fucking mind. So, thank you, Jay. I really appreciate that.
There you go, Xbot. Congratulations. You're $700 less than me.
I got an extra room you can move in here when you go.
All right. I was going to tell you before, with what you get so early and everything, me and the family are actually going to move in with you if you don't mind.
Well, you know what? I wanted to get off the hardware thing for a second because, Jay, by the way, every time this is Jay's second time on the show where we may beat his last time on. We're creeping over to the 2.5 mark. But I wanted to talk about the Telltale game that came out in the Batman, right? Now, this is something where we're kind of going from these experiences we were just talking about to, like, this is an experience in a game. Jay, have you reviewed it? Are you getting... I
haven't played it, unfortunately.
You haven't? Crap did a hell of a job. And I know we talked about it on Xbox Nation, but, like, I watched... shout out to JKB. He did yeah. So he did a 20-minute or maybe an hour walkthrough of the first episode. Crap, what was your take on it, and what's different about this Telltale versus the past few with the engine, etc.?
Well, the engine wasn't complete shit, so it didn't like lock up. Lock up every time like a big QTE was coming up, which is kind of, those are just point and click games. So basically, if it locks up, then you're kind of screwed. So, I mean, there was still some chugging or whatever once in a while, like when it would start a new like load screen or whatever. But for the most part,
I mean, let's be honest. You don't get Telltale games for their graphics.
Well, no, I mean, look, I like that.
It was enhanced.
Good, man.
Hey, they pick games. They pick games that fit that graphical style, though. Like that Batman game fits that style perfectly.
Batman is a detective at heart, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's not always flying around kicking shit, and he goes into a house and stands there and points his gadgets at walls and fucking points. You know what I mean?
That's
so
cool.
That was a good tie-in there, getting Batman.
Yeah, Rand, did you play it?
Yeah, I played it. It's good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed most of the things Telltale has done, except for Game of Thrones.
Rand, you were super excited for this game.
Well, yeah, because I love Batman. I mean,
right.
So yeah, I love Batman.
Has your excitement waned since you played it?
No, it's really good. I recommend if you like Telltale games.
I got it. I popped it in. I was about to start it. And then I realized that Zur was selling the Stallo Supercell. And
Everybody said that to me today.
Yeah, so I had to jump off real quick. And then I was like, oh, shit. Crossfire started, so I was like, oh, well, I ain't got no time.
Oh, there goes that. No, well, I'll tell you, going back to Taken King real quick, I did watch, Jay, you actually, I think you poo-pooed and shit on Destiny Vanilla, but you gave Destiny's Taken King a pretty good review, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was better.
Better. It's better. And, it's done better. So there's a bunch of us that are into that.
Sorry, Bungie has never been one to tell a great story.
What?
That's just my opinion.
Why are you going to have Xbot disagree on that?
I was thinking, you should have seen my face right then. I just kind of, what?
Look, back to they've never told a great story?
I don't think so. I don't think that Bungie's really good at...
Come on.
I'm just
like I'm trying to be respectful, man.
I've been with Bungie since Marathon on Mac. And Marathon on Mac, if you haven't played it, essentially is Halo. So has anyone played it?
I played it. I played it when it came to the XBLA Marathon on Orlando. I played it.
I played that in like 1994 when Bungie was just working on Mac software. And, I mean, there really is no difference between Halo and that game from 1994 in terms of storytelling or advancements in storytelling. And I think Destiny is a prime example of them not understanding how important storytelling is in the games.
You said you were a fan of like Halo 1, 2, 3.
Halo 2 had an awesome story. I mean, it had a cliffhanger.
No, it didn't.
For me, it did, dude.
Hey,
and then where they went into with Halo 3 and like kind of taking out, going after the last prophet and everything like that. I was, it's funny, Halo 1, 2, and 3. Now, Halo 1, I played on the OG Xbox, all right? So that game blew my mind when I first played it. And I was actually, Halo 1, 2, and 3, I was more into the story than I was the multiplayer.
See, Halo for me has always been about the multiplayer.
See, for me, up until like Halo 5, I have spent for the time it's been out. Halo 5, I have spent the most time on a Halo multiplayer.
Halo 4 made me cry. I was like, save Cortana, Chief.
Well, that's 343 right there, man. I hope they bring that.
I guess I must be with Jay in this one because. I thought the best told Halo story-wise was the one without Master Chief. Halo Reach I thought was the best single player game, and it was also conversely the worst multiplayer game of the series.
The story in Reach was awesome.
Halo 4, Halo 4 is right there. Halo 4 to me is probably the second worst Halo game ever made.
It's so funny. I drop I don't like Bungie's storytelling. I don't like Bethesda's, Skyrim. I thought the first 20 minutes of Skyrim was boring as fucking shit.
Because it is.
Yeah, and it was, it was horrible. There's a dragon. Oh no, we should run.
And their combat is terrible.
Yeah.
The combat in Fallout and the combat in Skyrim have those games have always been terrible. It's always about the exploration and the things.
Yeah, I still love Skyrim to death.
Right, but you don't like it because of the combat. You like it.
I don't like all the stuff. The story,
I've got to throw my age out there, but my biggest problem, and this is shame on me. I don't think anybody in the panel is going to be agreeing with me at all. But I've said it in my reviews a lot of the times. Coming from the era I grew up playing video games, let's be honest, even Castlevania, some of your classics, anything you really liked, they didn't have great story. I've never been somebody that was like, yes, okay, there's the exceptions, right? There's the Remedy games where Sam Lake is, right now, if anyone follows Sam Lake on Twitter, he's locked himself secret window in a closet somewhere. He's writing a book right now like this. I'm not even being funny. He's really doing that. He puts so much into the narrative in the story. But I'm not, when it comes to Halo for me, I'm not going to agree or disagree with Jay. To me, Halo's been so great because maybe it's because I'm an engineer and I get graded upon my performance. For me, it's the mechanics and the fluidity of the game. I grew up playing games. Think about it. How many games really grabbed you with story in the NES era? Not many. It wasn't like the Contra, two brothers running, avoid bullets, and you win. It's it is what it is. So myself growing up, maybe, and this is where I'm.
Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, but exactly. How about the story in that? That's really avoid the ninja stars.
Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, even Super Mario Bros. Save the blonde, kiss her maybe, and
not in every
go through 30,000 castles before you.
Have you ever? Have you ever heard the story of it? Have you read the book of?
No.
If you buy a copy of Mario 1 for NES and you read the actual story that's inside the.
I have that.
Go not now, but read that, and you won't even believe what you're reading.
That's awesome. I'm glad you actually told me that.
You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh.
My point being is and Jay, you do it a lot of times in your reviews. Crap gets into it too. You guys are so into the story, and don't get me wrong, this is not a bash. This is again where my ears are always open to when you guys. I watch Crap's reviews. I watch yours. I like to hear how you guys really get into that, and you kind of enlighten me sometimes into a story. That's why when somebody said Destiny doesn't have a story. When I hated Destiny, because I couldn't stand the vanilla Destiny, I just couldn't take it. I bought it day 1 and I returned it day 30. My problem with it wasn't that it didn't have a story. I didn't care about that. My issue was the redundancy. The nausea they put you through, and the way that they had their system of ranking up, it was just disgusting. That was me personally. I didn't think that their mechanics worked that well. I don't mean their point and shoot mechanics. The way that they just had the fluidity of the game, it just didn't work for me. But when it comes to Halo, I hear Xbot and Crap's loving the story, Jay and Rand saying it was meh. To me, I'm sitting here saying I love playing all those games because I just thought it was one of the most well done shooters of its era. I didn't really pay attention to the story until maybe the 4th or 5th time I played through it. And that's me. I mean, that's the kind of gamer I am. I just like to see the mechanics work like unbelievably.
The gameplay and the mechanics. I can definitely see where you're coming from, Mooch.
That's my whole thing. I mean, again, it's because of how I grew up. I mean, I played hundreds and hundreds of Nintendo, SNES, and Genesis games. There was no story. If there was, it was a flip book.
Well, Mooch, I can say just real quick. I can say, everything's right with the universe again. Me and Rand, like I said, we agreed. Like I think it was 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, which was
and
odd.
now we're back to like all the stars are aligning. And stuff like that.
Now everything's back to normal. No, listen. I want to thank everybody. We are probably well over 2.5 hours. I've taken up a lot of people's Fridays. This has been an outstanding show. I got to say, 2 of my favorites thus far, and I don't number mine, so I don't know how many I've done. But Jay, ever since I've started, I've never missed a Friday, and my God, it's been since I think just before Star Wars: The Force Awakens, before you came on, and we haven't missed a Friday yet. So my point is, thank you. And you're a dear friend. I know I only know you via the interweb. It's not like I knew you growing up, but I enjoy your content. I like your take on things because you do bring that fun child imagination back into it. You do it in your reviews.
Well, that doesn't get me laid, though. But
no. Hey, and you know what? And you're a hell of a salesman because you sure go in depth on whatever you're trying.
He
to
does that,
sell.
and he does. You know what? He did it tonight. He did it tonight with VR. But like, to be honest with you, that's why I really watch his reviews. And I got news for you. Jay has no problem with me saying this. That's why I feel comfortable with him. I don't always agree with Jay's numerical response to a review.
Fuck you.
Damn it! I lost. There goes my third appointment with Jay. He just canceled. No, but I mean, I still enjoyed the review. I like to see where he's coming from. So with that, Jay, I want to say thanks again, and thanks for being a good friend to me and the show. Anything that you want to plug that you can talk about? You're under so many NDAs. I don't even know if you could say anything.
No, I just want to say I appreciate the invite to come on your podcast, man, and I appreciate everyone listening to me.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think no matter what you do, you're really you kind of opened a lot of eyes. And I sent you a couple of those tweets. You got to see what people are saying.
I didn't mean to sell VR. I just try to articulate my experience I had with it because, to be honest, I only do YouTube now to share enjoyment. So if I have something that I think you guys are going to enjoy, I'm going to do my fucking best job to sell it so you guys can have that same experience.
Yeah, I've noticed that you have...
Unfortunately, Xbox like checking in between his couch cushions for change, so he's avoid to buy a fucking VR.
I don't mean to overhype the fucking thing. I just mean that, like, you might get that experience, and I think it's worth trying to get that experience because it's something that I haven't felt since I was a little kid.
No, you got me to at least want to try the damn thing on. Like I said, I think I would wait to invest my money a little bit more into the Oculus world.
There's one thing I got to say just before we close it out.
Yeah.
I don't want everybody to go out there run out and buy PlayStation VR. I think that everybody needs to try these things before. Because the PlayStation VR is an experience, and I think that some of the experiences on there will be very, very limited in terms of the length of them and exactly what you can do. Right. I think that if you're really interested in VR and you want to get into what I'm talking about in VR, try the VR for PlayStation, and if you're a fan of it and you think it's worth the money, by all means, nobody's going to get angry at you for buying that. But I'm saying, me personally, I should have said this, that the Vive stood out over everything. And if you're really going to get into this, go try that. That's where you'll see the true experience. And go to a room where you have the actual experience the way it's supposed to be played. Don't go half-ass. If it's going to be half-ass, you're not going to enjoy it.
No, that's very good. And you're in a plethora of people that are in the know or that have tried it, that have gone to a lot of these different shows, and they have said that the Vive is by far the leader, by far.
Well, it's like $800, right? Like $900.
Oh yeah, that's a big. Yeah, it's a big. Well, Jay said it. He said it's a big. That's a big boy toy.
Yeah,
it's not like we're all gonna go buy one after. Like I don't even fucking.
I don't play on PC, so that doesn't interest me at all. So.
That's true. Yeah, well, that's why Oculus may be a little bit more within reach. I'd be interested what Phil and them do. Crap Gamer, how about a plug for you, buddy?
I got some video. Probably went live during this marathon. At
Sabotage.
Point, so, yeah.
That's great. No, it's awesome. I always check out your shit, man. I enjoy that you put out the content that you put out. You always
it's scheduled to go. Like I don't really, you know what I mean? Like I come on here and then I forget.
You stress you do daily content, and you do, and we all appreciate it. Thank you. Southbound.
We've got BGST Sunday.
Absolutely. Oh, I'll be sure enough to yell that out at the end for sure. Southbound and Down, TXR. What's up?
Nah, you just TXR. I actually let Rand announce it this time.
That's nice of
you. Usually I'm the one that takes it all up. So, Rand, take it away.
Rand, take it away, buddy.
You want me to take it away? Okay, well, we have a special interview on Monday with Victor Lucas.
Victor Lucas, no fucking way. Get out of here, man.
Damn straight.
I'm going to be there, man. Front row.
Dude, but aren't you always there front row?
Hell yeah, dude.
That's right.
I listen to you guys every week.
That's right. The best damn podcast on Monday nights, right?
Damn right, of course. Who wouldn't want to listen to that on Monday nights? You know, there's other ones out there. Hey, there's other ones out there on Monday night, but I gotta say,
if I could just say something about Victor Lucas, that guy is literally my hero. He's Canadian. I'm Canadian. We both grew up the exact same way. Victor Lucas is like he's Batman to me. He's fucking amazing.
You should come to our show on Monday so you can listen to us interview Victor Lucas. I know Maka is also that's like Maka's icon, or
Yeah,
he's really excited to talk to him. Yeah. So we're gonna talk to him on Monday. The usual time, 7 Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. So should be a good show.
No, we're pumped, buddy. It's always a good show, to be honest with you. XBot448, what's happening? And you do have a special guest tomorrow, I heard.
Yeah. Somebody you might have heard of, and he's kind of pulling the strings tomorrow as well. It's this guy Mooch.
He wears a lot of red, white, and blue. We're not sure why. Looks like a walking bomb pop. Listen, no, I appreciate it, but I can't wait to be on the show tomorrow. It'll be great. I love your cast that you got. Always excitable. You're like a pep rally in a fucking bag, buddy. I love you.
Dude, not for anything. I'm passionate about what I talk about. I am, I love talking games and stuff like that. I do want to say before anything, Jay, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today about all this stuff, and I really hope that we can kind of continue. Don't be a stranger, basically. I'm on Twitter, everything like that. Everything is the same.
In other words, please follow him.
Please follow me.
Actually, send me something on Twitter and be like, hey, it's me.
All right, no doubt.
He's like, man, I just want to DM you, please.
Dude, this has been absolutely awesome. Like, this is, you don't understand. You hear the smile on my face right now. It's insane.
Well, no, I will say, literally, I've had a lot of fun doing all the Crossfires, but we've had a hell of a time when Jay gets on, because Jay, you do have a good insight. You've been to a lot of different trade shows. We got into last time. You got into the whole in-depth thing with Rainbow Six with you and Maka kind of on stage. That was a cool experience to hear. You've got a lot of us, even like South and Rand, are very close with some of the Microsoft guys. That's really cool. It's always good to get that insight. But your feet are actually hitting the ground of a lot of these different shows that don't hit the mainstream media, but yet at the same time are very, very impactful on the gaming world. Like, you just know a little bit more about hands-on equipment stuff versus just rumor-based. So it's kind of neat to have that perspective on a show like this. So I think
I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you got a lot of charisma, buddy.
Hey, Mooch, yeah. I did forget one thing, because I am going to be on Console Corner this Tuesday.
Nice.
So, yeah, like I forgot. And also game night tomorrow night is, I believe, Titanfall.
I thought you were banned from Console Corner.
I'm usually banned, and they bring me back because I'm banned from my abrasive lyrics. They're like, man, crap, you're too goddamn abrasive.
Yeah.
But they bring me back once in a while because it gets high ratings. It's sort of.
Console Corner. I love it.
Yeah.
When you're on there, it is a great, great show, man.
It is. It's always fun because I like those.
Why would they ban you?
Because I'm an asshole.
Hey, don't worry, I've been banned too, like that. By the way,
we all have, Jay, believe me.
I don't want to start a war, but Microsoft's taking this holiday easy.
Well, we know, dude. Like,
I just want to close that out with that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like, I made a bold prediction. I said, man, they're gonna win. A lot of people said they wouldn't win August, and I'm like, no, August is a lock.
The people who say they won't win August are fucking stupid. They don't know the historical significance of what a Slim does to hardware sales. They're just like insane. Well, I'm gonna say fanboys, but like,
What, like us?
they're gonna win August. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, but at least I mean, I can only speak for myself. I try to be as objective as possible. Like I look at Microsoft's gonna win August, hands down. There's no doubt in my mind. 2-1, maybe. 3-1. I guess it depends on how good the sales are. But they'll win September. You know, and October it depends. You know, if Neo comes out, probably not.
Gears.
Gears.
The Gears system though it's $450. It's very expensive. It's very
But people will
limited.
still buy it to play it.
And the game itself.
I know. But hey, don't forget about that 10-year-old Last Guardian. People are gonna want to.
That game's gonna get
That's
like
sarcasm, by the way. So, if
I can't wait to walk around with my giant
Sarcasm.
fucking dog for
No,
Oi,
but
oi.
Microsoft's going to have a great holiday this year. The Xbox One S is poised to sell extremely well. And the Microsoft people, you know, I mean, they say this is just the beginning. We talked about it on Craft's show. Like, this is just the beginning of...
Yeah. I heard. Well, we didn't get to talk about it, but Phil hinted at a fucking show at the end.
Yeah,
of the
well,
year.
I mean, the 15-year anniversure is November.
Show. Yeah, we didn't.
That'd be a
talk
good
about it,
time
but
to do some event, maybe. You
Right.
know, talk
It'd
about
be interesting
something.
when they would probably do it just in the end of September before Gears, right? If they're gonna do it, so that'd be kind of neat.
Well, I'm going to an event next month, actually. What month are we in? September?
No, we're in August.
Fuck, I don't fucking know. I'm going to the briefing, so I might find out some stuff very soon, like in 28 days or something.
A briefing?
Very cool.
What briefing?
Microsoft, like I said, they are amazing
the
with the PR.
X17 or whatever. Or
Yeah, there's like
whatever.
it's called the
Yeah.
media briefing. Yeah, you basically
Yeah.
go in and play everything that's coming out this holiday season, and then they give you some gifts and get you drunk.
Sounds like a
Oh,
good
God.
time.
Jay, if you have a +1 and Cat's not going, give me a buzz, will you?
Well, you're not. How far are you? 4 hours?
Toronto's probably a little bit more than that.
I could get you in.
From...
I'm not even kidding. If you drive here, you can easily come in with me.
No, there it is, folks. And put the winter tires on tomorrow. See ya. I'll be up there. No problem.
There won't be any snow by then.
That's all right, New York. We're not foreign to it, Jay. Believe me.
Why don't we just make this podcast 6 hours long?
Why? Yeah. Why end now? We can just. I'll take it on the road.
My
But yeah.
ass is killing me.
You know, I usually give T-shirts away, and Jerry Lewis comes on after you leave, Jay. No, and I don't want to forget, Dreyer, can we get a plug? Because, by the way, you're one of the best, if not the best writer on this panel. So where can we find your work?
Oh, that's so nice. I'm at xboxmad.net. ICXM. Check me out on there. And check out my Twitter. And I can't wait for that VR parties that you keep talking about. Crap will probably be glitched in the wall because of this shitty internet.
It's great.
And Dreyer will be back as long as his stalker doesn't.
Oh, his stalker.
I've seen that, dude. That is crazy.
I saw it. I got to click on the link. Is it a bad stalker?
It's
or
a
like
bad, it's
All right.
crazy.
No, it's like 49 comments about things I've said on Twitter throughout the years so far. You know.
Hey, Mooch has stalkers. You got stalkers.
Yeah,
and
they're-
Crap has stalkers.
Hey, that just means you made it. That means you're famous.
People, I have another guy fucking talking about my hairline and fucking Crap's comments on his last podcast. So, you know, if it was a chick, I'd be like, all right, whatever. But it's some other dude. You know, it's like, oh, great.
We're like a school.
Jealous,
We're like a
okay.
School of Rock, like I don't know, some 1980s hairband wig.
Even you know what?
I
Even I
think-
saw somebody in comments talking about the the Avatar, which the great Jay Williams made for me here. He was saying that my hair is all messed up and that should be fixed. I was like, what are you talking? I don't know. People just love to nitpick and.
But you know, Rand, you know, you have to look at what their hair looks like. They probably have like this Moses thing going on with their hair parted like in the middle.
Yeah, I
Don't-
always look at the source.
Don't
Yeah.
read comments anymore.
Yeah, that's what I say. People always say that. They're like, Mooch, didn't you see I wrote something in your comments? I'm like, I don't ever read the comments. And it's not to be rude. I just don't.
Yeah, I haven't read one single comment that was posted on my website. I don't care, you know.
No, but you know, it is something. And Jay got it. We won't go down that list, but Jay's had his series of fun fans that stalk his ass too. So
Oh, I just stalk them back.
Yeah, that's the way, and I bet you scare the shit out of them back.
I'll tell you guys a secret. If somebody's going at you constantly, just start calling them Juice Boys.
Juice Boys.
Works like a charm.
Yeah, just keep saying, yeah, that's good, Juice Boy. And they'll start to, like, try to figure out what it means. And you just keep calling them Juice Boy constantly, and then eventually they give up.
I love it. No, honestly, it's been a great show. I want to thank everybody for coming on, and we'll do this again next Friday. BGST is 7 o'clock, Zaire's channel on Sunday, and CrossFire next Friday, 6 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Yeah.